Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ring Post Radio, the only show that... Oh, damn, I didn't have anything ready for today. The only show that is increasing and 1.4 times its marketability. Does that make sense? Is that something? I don't think that's anything. I'm your host, Ryan Knightsey, and with me, as always, is the man, the myth, the legend, Scotty Edwards. Scotty, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's been a long week.
Yeah.
Not gonna talk about everything. Maybe my name has popped up way too much in the past couple of days.
Yeah, I saw your name.
We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that.
Floating around with some news bits.
Yeah, which wasn't. It was I was just thinking out loud. Just thinking out loud.
This is
whatever.
This is what you get for thinking out loud on a more popular show than our show. I mean, no,
I guess so. I think aloud a lot on this show. People like, if we were just quoting me every time I said something, we'd be in big trouble.
I know. I feel like we hint at way more things on this show than people realize.
That one was even like, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, technically, it's just that's her last date, and that's the first. Whatever. I'm not doing this.
No, I know. It is, and also I saw that like it was also misquoted as just like not necessarily misquoted for you or whatever you said. It was more so just like via Fightful, and it was like you wasn't even on a Fightful show when he said that.
I was like, oh geez. But anyways, I'm doing great. Yeah. I'm doing great. Lots of great wrestling. This weekend, lots of great wrestling coming up. Obviously, next weekend's a packed weekend. We got the 5-star final. Mm-hmm. We got WRESTLEDREAM.
Yep.
It's a good time. It's a good time, you know?
It's a very good time. And for me, things are shaping up nicely for me. The WGA is hopefully close to some sort of deal.
Saw that. I was like, there goes John Cena. But here comes Ryan back to work. So.
There goes The Rock. Well, there's the SAG part, which will be its own thing. We'll have Cena and The Rock probably for another month. But I also love the headlines about that, where it was like the studios were like, "This is our final and best offer." And it's like, I don't think you guys can say that. I don't think you can just...
Here's our final and best offer. And then what if we say no?
No more television, no more movies made ever again.
I literally don't think that's possible.
No, that is surely not. It's insane that it's like that's the quote out there is final and best offer.
It is. And this past week was a really busy week because I remember saying on this show last week, mm-hmm. I said to you,
yes.
Wow, we have a pretty packed week next week. It would be a shame if there was a lot of news.
And then there was. A shit ton of news.
I should have known WWE was just waiting at the wings, ready to pounce.
ready to get some deals and let go some people.
They always do this. Yeah. Like WWE always does this. Every time we have a busy week, they just are like, it would be a shame if someone messed that up.
Yeah, it almost feels like Vince McMahon listens to Ring Post Radio. That's what
it was. Either that or CM Punk, and one of those
that's
are now gone. So
that's also true.
I wish we could trade that. I wish CM Punk was still around. Never mind.
No, I agree with that. If I had to keep, I'd rather keep CM Punk around than Vince McMahon. I mean, at the very least, like,
yeah, I think that is a foregone conclusion for me.
Yeah. Yeah, as many issues as CM Punk caused,
he's not Vince McMahon.
He's not Vince McMahon, who is a known sex pest and an abuser of women. So I think that's a fair trade. I'd rather take a guy yelling at Ryan Nemeth to get out of the arena than a sex pest.
Ryan Nemeth.
Yeah, so that's our beginning of the show, I guess, folks. I guess that's our hot take intro of the show. So yeah, well, yes, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Again, thank you so much for listening to us on Ring Post Radio. We got a lot to get to, including AEW Grand Slam. There are a review of those shows, our preview of WRESTLEDREAM, which is as we talked about before the show, I think a stacked lineup that's, if anything, maybe like 2 more matches for a pre-show announced, but pretty much everything announced. Unlike what All In, where it was like a Wednesday before, you're like, all right, come on, where are the matches? We got New Japan's Destruction and Kobe show happened this morning. We have the preview for the finals of the Stardom 5-Star Grand Prix. And of course, as we sort of mentioned before, there's a lot of WWE news that we will get to. So let's...
You're gonna lead off with that?
Yeah, we'll lead. That's what I was about to say. Let's lead off with that. Let's hit that one on the head first. And I think the news I think we have to talk about first before we get into the other part is the TV deal. Let's go in order. So on Thursday, WWE announced a new television rights deal that will take effect October 2024 with SmackDown, their only show there, SmackDown, returning to the USA Network. TK Group Holdings and NBC announced on Thursday that they've agreed to a 5-year domestic media rights partnership for the show SmackDown that will begin in October 2024. The partnership also involves 4 specials a year, to air on NBC in prime time. People familiar with the pact, this is according to the Wall Street Journal, people familiar with the pact valued it at roughly $1.4 billion, which is about a 40% increase over the deal WWE had with Fox. So this is like, I think it was like the actual number, like 37 or something % increase.
They're lying.
They're lying. They're bumping up the numbers.
Inflation exists.
And even then, the number has never, as far as I can tell, been formally announced. It's just been.
Imagine if it was just like more. They just lowballed it.
It's a $3 billion thing. No, so the Wall Street Journal said 1.4. CNBC wrote that the deal comes out to an average $287 million per year, which is a total value of over $1.4 billion. So that's the belief there with the deal, but there's a lot to unpack with that. Number one is SmackDown, of course, leaving Fox. Fox, you can put it one way, dropping SmackDown. And USA picking up SmackDown to start airing. It was also said in that press release that USA is not planning on picking up Raw and NXT. So pretty much all the money that they had was basically put aside to put directly into SmackDown. WWE wanted more money, presumably, and then they threw in these 4 prime time specials. So a lot of thoughts to air out about this sort of deal here, Scotty. But let's start off with you. What are your thoughts about this number that was announced?
So the number, it obviously, like, for them, because of the way they talked it up, I think was a letdown. You know, they expected it because they made it sound like it was going to be so much more. But
yes,
my main takeaway on this, like, I think the biggest part of this in terms of like the pro wrestling side is that Monday Night Raw may not be under the NBC umbrella.
Yes.
For the first time in 30 years or something ridiculous.
Something like that.
Outside, they were under Spike for like what? A few years
for a cup of coffee. Pretty much.
Yeah, like otherwise that is gigantic. And if it's not on Mondays, that's even bigger. But back to the deal itself, it's still $1.4 billion. You know, it's like they got that for one of their TV shows. Now they're going to sell 2 more. If they sell NXT for anything, that's another victory for them. And I said this to you because we were debating like how kind of it was an upset and whatnot. And then I was like, they still make like so much money. It doesn't matter. Like, this is just 1 billion now added to their other billions that they're making.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
They can't be stopped.
It's not the 2x, 3x deals that Nick Khan was talking about. It's certainly not the 3.6x deals that they got for Raw and SmackDown in 2018. But it's still more money. Before, it was like an ungodly amount of money that they don't even know what to do with. And it's still more money. It's still, you know, an extra for SmackDown, an extra $882 million across 5
Unbelievable.
years. So it's still a shit ton of money.
They obviously, like, we say they probably are upset because they didn't get more. But can you really be upset? It's still $1.4 billion for a TV show that has arguably been awful for most of the 5 years.
Yeah, that's what's fascinating about it. So I sort of tweeted out my thoughts about it as well. I thought what was interesting to me is that the Fox SmackDown deal in 2018 was like basically $1 billion, right? $1 billion deal. I got the Brandon Thurston TV rights thing, $205 million a year, right? And so it's like, you know, you increase by like roughly 40%, and it's basically like, and you know, you add these 4 primetime specials. So how I basically read it as is like, okay, so USA was like, all right, we'll just give you the same exact money that Fox was giving you, but that's all we can give you. And they're like, oh, well, hold on. WWE is like, hold on, well, we want more money than that. And they're like, well, we need more content. They're like, what about NXT? And they're like, no, we don't want NXT. We're okay. And then they're like, okay, what about we'll take the Battle of the Belts idea. What about 4 primetime specials? All right, throw that in, we'll take it.
That's such a win for them because they're on NBC.
Add extra $400 million to the 5-year deal to do that.
Yeah, for 4 shows.
Mm-hmm.
I would have gave them 20.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to give us 100,000 per show? Here. I would have just kept giving them until they said no more.
What was that? $400 million for 4 shows over 5 years, so 20 shows, right? So that's $20 million a show.
For them to just turn a live event into a production.
Yeah, probably. That's pretty good, I would say.
And it's on primetime television.
Mm-hmm. Is that what it said? It was on NBC.
Yes, NBC specials.
Interesting.
Which is huge.
That's
still big. They still have a primetime slot. I know it's not every single week, like primetime television, but on network. But it's still a network to be on. And Raw hasn't been decided yet. Who knows what Raw is going to be? Raw could be on a streaming service. We don't know.
Yeah. We'll get to Raw in a second, but I was trying to think if there's any other things I had about this deal. Yeah, I think it's a good deal. I don't think it's a great deal. It's obviously not that. You saw the stock market sort of react to that. I don't think it's a great deal. It's still more money, but it's like when you're touting like 2x, 3x, it's like that's not too bad. Yeah. And it's like USA is 100% not going to put up the numbers that Fox will put up or Fox has put up for SmackDown. So they're paying basically the same price for this, but they're undoubtedly going to get less bang for their buck in these ratings when it comes down to it. Like this is like it might be you could consider it maybe a win for WWE, but ultimately it might be a loss for the USA in actuality.
Oh, it absolutely is. If you look at it that way, because it's going to be at least 100 million less viewers.
Mm-hmm.
It's like WWE just keeps doing what they have been doing. That's like, we're just going to churn out content. We don't really care about ratings or anything, and you're going to deal with it. That's what this is. And if they move Monday Night Raw to a non-football day, good for them. I think there is a very intriguing conversation to be had about where Raw could go.
Mm-hmm.
I think USA is still, or NBC still definitely in play though.
Yeah,
I think it'd be silly to they're not.
So that's the also currently report there is that Raw is up for grabs, so is NXT. USA is not going to pick it up. That doesn't necessarily mean that NBC Universal is not going to pick it up, sure. But I think that makes it at least less likely. Fox, we didn't really talk about Fox in all of this, but I would imagine Fox is out. I would imagine they're out of WWE. I don't think they would go get rid of SmackDown to get Raw. That doesn't make any sense to me. Other than that, in terms of like actual like non-streamer television, I haven't heard any other names beyond those 2 companies. And then for streamers, you're hearing Disney, which we always hear that it never becomes anything. And then Amazon, which really only has, I think, traction because of one Jeff Bezos, Nick Khan, Triple H, New York fashion show viewing. So
Yep.
So, I mean, I think right now it weirdly feels like the biggest possibility is Monday Night Raw and presumably NXT as well, being packaged together and heading on to Amazon Prime, if you can believe it. And then, on top of that, it's like, where's the streamers going to go as well eventually? You know what I mean? Like, are they staying on Peacock? Are they moving to Amazon Prime? Where is that going to happen? So what do you think is the best destination? What do you think is the most likely destination for Raw? Do you think NXT is part of that? What do you think could happen there, Scotty?
I do think Amazon does go a little beyond the Bezos picture. Just because Amazon has wanted to get into live things. That's why they bought Thursday Night Football from the NFL. So I think Amazon's interesting, but I wouldn't make them a favorite. I think there's always a chance of someone maybe we don't expect. I think Disney probably not. Unless there's a package or scenario where the mindset comes in that the UFC has. But even then, I don't see it because UFC gave them their pay-per-views, and that's much more up ESPN's alley than a TV show weekly. They have sports every night.
Yeah.
It's not like they don't have something every night of the week pretty much. But you don't want to rule them out because Disney still has FX.
Yeah.
And channels like that. So if they're trying to pack those in, that's always a possibility as well.
I'm worried about Raw. And here's why, right? So immediately, obviously, is that Raw is just the riskier deal because of
breaking news. Ryan, known Raw watcher.
Yes.
Worried about
Raw. Look, man, that we talked about it last week, that Ivar Kofi Kingston match. I started getting to this trend. I don't know if you have this trend, but I've had this trend. Every single time I hear about a Monday Night Raw match getting any traction, and everyone's like, "Oh, that match was great." I watch it and I give it 3.5 stars. I've done that for the past 10 times. I've seen a Raw match in the past however many
pretty good for
WWE
TV, to be fair.
That is pretty good. But so here's why I'm actually worried about Raw in terms of the television deal. Yeah. Obviously, number one is Monday Night Football, with the announcement of ABC just being like, all right, let's just air everything. Let's just put all the football on Monday nights. That stinks. And we'll see how that continues to go for them. But I think just because of that decision, and you would almost wonder if post strikes, if ABC will continue to do that. For next year and in the years to come. That's an interesting idea there. But it almost feels like Monday is already interesting. It's already feels like it's jam-packed. So if you want Monday Night Raw, you're going to have to move it to another night if you're one of these properties. So then it becomes a question of where are you moving it. And that is going to hurt Raw. Moving another channel is going to suck, and moving nights is going to suck. That's going to hurt Raw immensely.
Yeah.
I'm also worried about Raw just because, so here's the thing. We're also talking about, streamers and everything. And, I mentioned the writer's strike and the SAG strikes and everything. It's a part of what the writers and actors are all talking about and wanting are residuals from streamers. We have no one has any idea how well these shows are watched other than whatever PR that, Peacock announces or whatever.
Netflix loves to do that stuff.
Yeah, and it's all PR. They're not actual numbers. They're not Nielsen ratings or anything. They're not shoot numbers. They're not turnstiles. They're not.
I think that's why it's more believable that WWE would want to do a streaming deal.
That's true, but here's my concern with it: with residuals being added in as additional expenses. Would these streamers, and I don't know how, these residuals aren't going to be a huge amount of money. We're talking maybe a couple millions, tens of millions of dollars potentially for various residuals for all these people. But that being a factor, will that's be additional expenses on all of these streamers? Will they be giving as big of a bag as Peacock once did for the streaming rights for all of WWE stuff for just Raw? Are they willing to put out that big of a bag now knowing that they are coming across more expenses on top of already being in the red for all these products? It's not these residuals aren't going to break the bank, which is why they should do it. But there is a thing of they have additional expenses coming their direction that's going to hit them even harder. And I don't know if they're going to be as willing to pick up Raw unless they think it's going to move numbers, which, again, you're moving nights, you're moving shows, you're moving completely different onto a streamer platform. I think that's a lot more difficulties in that direction.
I do wonder what it would go as, but I will say when it comes to WWE, they don't care.
Oh no!
If they get their money, they don't care.
No, I mean already. So Brandon Thurston, sort of tweeted this out as well. So from 205 to 287 a year for SmackDown, that 1.4 increase. In 2018, Raw got $265 million a year, right? Still more than SmackDown. So the question is, assuming it's still going to get more than SmackDown. So assuming a 1.4x increase, that is going from $265 million a year for Raw to $371 million a year, roughly. That is a total picture, ready? Of 2018, you get $470 million a year for the television, to 2023, 2024, $658 million a year for television. Insane number.
For shows that they've done weekly for years, right? It's like, it's not WWE having to change their schedule or anything. This is just what they do. So to me, it's like, again, whatever money they get, because they're gonna get a lot for Raw.
Yeah,
they're gonna be perfectly happy.
Oh yeah, I fully agree. I think they're trying to get money. I have questions about it, but undoubtedly they're gonna get money. They're definitely not gonna get these 2x 3x deals. 1.4 seems like it could be in line. I think they're looking to get a 2x 3x deal probably. I think that's why they're also trying to bundle in NXT to sort of bump up those numbers. Because if you don't forget, I just read those numbers off of Brandon Thurston's WrestleNomics thing. He didn't mention NXT, and that's because no one has any idea how much NXT is costing or making money for WWE. Those numbers aren't public.
It doesn't cost them a lot.
It doesn't cost them a lot.
They run it in their own building.
It doesn't. The expenses are low for that, but we have no idea what the TV rights for NXT are. So I think the idea of also adding NXT into Raw is to sort of, kind of like the primetime specials, pump up the numbers a little bit on this whatever Raw TV deal supposedly is going to be.
I think,
because again, we don't know what NXT is.
I think at minimum NXT gets sold for a little extra change to Peacock.
I would love that. I would love that.
I always liked when it was back on I always liked when NXT was just a network show anyway, a streaming show anyways, but I think that's always a possibility as well. But throwing it in with Raw, just get any little extra money, even if it's, because Raw's going to do fine by itself.
Sure.
But if you can get anything and have another night of television, you take it. It'll be interesting to see, because NXT, all things considered, USA was very much like willing to just play with that. Like they put it on Wednesdays. Obviously, that didn't work out as well.
No.
Then USA was just like, yeah, you can move it to Tuesday. Like, we don't care.
We had an opening and our, what was it, Suits was ending or something, if I recall.
Yeah. Which is so funny because, like, what does USA actually have, Eric?
Now? Besides WWE? I don't know.
Exactly. Like, they're as important to them as WWE has, I'm sure, other suitors. I feel like NBC should want at least NXT back, just because it's another night where they got 1 million viewers 2 weeks ago on that goddamn show.
That's true.
It's just like, it's so weird because I know like some networks don't care about viewership anymore, but they do.
I did think it was fascinating that it was like, I jokingly said that at the beginning, but it was like, I'm fascinated that instead of putting the NXT into the SmackDown deal, they did 4 primetime specials. They could have easily put NXT into that. Why didn't they?
NXT probably would have got them. I don't know. Maybe they think they can sell it itself.
Maybe. I don't think
if they can sell it itself for anything, that's a win.
That's like saying Rampage can sell itself. and would not
I
consider
don't
doing
think
that.
that's the same, man. Rampage literally airs nothing.
No, I
like,
mean, let's
like Rampage is
let me
literally
look this
like,
up.
let's put Ryan on TV in a match with Ryan Nemeth,
Now we're
and you
talking.
should watch it.
Now we're talking, baby. That's what we need. Let me look up the Brand Thurston ratings, because we're also talking bang for your buck, right? So like this idea of, is it worth for these companies to put their the shows on here? So let's see if I can look up the latest Brandon Thurston. Okay, here we go. So where is NXT doing ratings wise? God, these maps are so, I gotta lean in real close. Yeah, I mean, NXT, honestly, before NXT started like bumping up the ratings with like bringing in main roster people.
Just say Dom.
Before Dom. Yeah, I know.
Dom.
It's Dom. It did pretty much better than Rampage, and then it's doing like way better than Rampage, close to Dynamite nowadays. Because of all the main roster stuff with Becky Lynch and
it did really good recently.
So yeah, it's not as bad as selling Rampage by yourself. It's a little bit better, especially now they're bumping it up. But the history's there. Are they going to keep that rating with a bunch of main roster people once they sell it? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like that's an obvious question there, but
definitely worth a conversation. I'll say that.
Do you think? Two other questions I had that I think are an interesting talking points are, if you were the studio head, if you were the television network, you were the streamer, if you were Jeff Bezos himself, you shaved your head bald and you're Jeff Bezos, you're flying out to space. If you had to pick what night you put Raw on, what night are you picking? The tough Tuesday. Why is that?
Because there's no football.
Perfect.
Ever.
Perfect.
It would be Tuesday or Wednesday.
Oof. And interesting.
And I don't want to. And listen, like I think they would hurt AEW a lot if you put Raw on there, but you're still hurting yourself too.
It would be interesting if it went on a streamer and then they went on Wednesday. That's an interesting, like just TV ratings wise, like the streamers aren't being counted, so that would just be interesting to see what happens.
I think Tuesday or Wednesday are definitely where I'd move it. But if it's like, if they go back to NBC, they're just gonna go back on Mondays.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
Yeah. It depends probably more on the network. Like, hey, we'll give you this, but you have to not be on Mondays. And I don't think they care nearly enough about the history now that they are under a completely different company. It's like for the longest time, I'm sure Vince didn't want to change that show.
That's correct.
Or things, but like
Nick Khan's in there now. He doesn't give a shit.
Our Emmanuel isn't going to be like, Vince, we have to take this deal. He's just going to be like, dude.
We know this. Nick Khan does not care about, like, he has no loyalty to anything. He's just out for the biggest paycheck, pretty much. If he will move it to Saturdays or whatever for 3x. He doesn't give a shit.
I was on the Mike and JD show, obviously, this week. We talked about that earlier. They made a good point. Like, Nick Khan's the second greatest signing in WWE history.
100%. Who's the first? Who?
I think it's Hulk Hogan.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
Which was, I was like, I can't debate that one.
No, cannot.
WWE got big because of Hulk
Hogan.
I think they said Hulk Hogan. I could be wrong. Maybe it's some like egregious human.
Maybe
it was like
Dolph Ziggler or something. We'll get that. No, yeah, I think that would be interesting. The other question I had as well is, there's the obvious other player in the room. The AEW television rights deal is also coming up. Do you think Fox is out of wrestling completely, or do you think they might take a look at AEW? I ask this because AEW still does really good ratings, and they are going to come at a fraction of the price that you gave WWE. So you can get basically still very good ratings, not as great, but still very good for a fraction of the price. Do you think they're out completely, or do you think they'll take an interest at AEW?
I think Fox is done with wrestling.
Yeah.
I think they are not going to go down a step. Like, they gave their shot with the top dog, and to them, that's probably like, all right, we're going to take a break from that. Maybe we'll come back to it. I think Tony Khan is loyal to Warner Media forever and always. So I don't think it'll matter anyways.
And I think he's a fool. I think you walk into that Fox corporate office and be like, "Look, guys, this is what the ratings say. This is how much money you would give us. This is our offer.
How much money you would give us?
Supposedly, this
is how much we'll give you.
This is our value.
Was
you want all of it? We got you. Collision. We got you. You could probably sell everything, streaming rights. Even though Fox doesn't have a streamer, I don't know why we would do that. You could probably sell Collision, Rampage, and Dynamite all to Fox for less than what SmackDown was. Well, maybe not less.
I don't think they'd want to do that.
No.
I think they'd want the billion.
Yeah.
If they sold every show that they have.
That's probably true. I probably went above and beyond that one. But you
went
a
little far. It's a little far.
A little
far.
I think if you're Tony Khan, you should definitely go in that room. I kind of
agree. If you're Tony Khan, you should go into every room that's willing to talk.
I agree.
That's besides the point.
I agree. I do.
But if Warner Media gives you a deal at the table that's like so perfect, that fits your needs, based off of the relationship you've already created, I get it. I do get it. Like I get it from his standpoint because there's now an opportunity probably to be on Max.
Yeah.
There definitely will be an opportunity to be on Max, especially with 12 pay-per-views coming up. It's like, getting extra money from putting your pay-per-views on streaming to me is better than depending on pay-per-views buys, especially when you go to 12. WWE learned that. They went to Peacock, and look at them now.
And I think you're right. I think going to Fox would be a great deal, but honestly, all you can sell to them is the television. They don't have a streamer to really do anything.
Oh yeah, they got nothing there.
And I think AEW is trying. I think AEW would want to sell. Not want to. I think it would be a smart idea in terms of PR to sell television and streaming rights all at the same time. One ginormous package, and then you can announce you sold all your stuff for X amount of money, right? If you sold to Fox, you'll get this, but then you also have the streamer thing, like you said, and now you have to figure out where that's going. And then you have to serve two masters, like USA and Fox were with WWE.
I do wonder because, like, with Raw and SmackDown, those two shows don't go up till like 3 weeks after, and that's because of Hulu.
Yeah.
For AEW,
which also is ending, apparently, allegedly, Hulu is ending.
For AEW, I think it's perfect because if you can have Dynamite, Rampage, Collision up the day after, or even right after it airs on these streaming services, that would be huge. Seeing their live most of the time, you'd probably have it on there the day after, but still, I just think like if you can put that as part of the deal, that's just extra content for these streaming services, presumably Max. It's a shame that these aren't already on a service, truthfully, because there's a lot of content they have now.
Yeah, they got what 2019 till now. They got a shit ton of content. They
got 4 years of Dynamite. What 2.5 years of Rampage? 2 years of Rampage,
something like that.
And then they have a couple months of Collision, and then they have Battle of the Belts if you ever want to rewatch those.
Yeah, baby. They got Dark Elevation.
That's true.
They got a Ring of Honor. You want Ring of Honor? We'll slub that in.
He should just try to sell Ring of Honor to another network. I know he won't, but he should.
I like the idea of like selling all that, selling TV to Fox, AEW TV to Fox, and selling ROH TV to WBD.
Actually, I've watched current Ring of Honor. No one's buying Ring of Honor.
I don't know. Well, maybe.
But the pay-per-views go on Bleacher Report, so maybe the Max pay-per-view. Maybe they could sell the pay-per-view since that was already on the Bleacher Report live.
We'll see. We'll see what happens for them for sure.
All right, let's talk about people losing their jobs now.
Yeah, so the same day, not even, I don't know, an hour or two after that news broke, as everyone was recovering at like 10 a.m. with this SmackDown USA deal, various wrestlers started tweeting out about how they were let go. Let me do the PR phrase that every single wrestler tweeted. Every single wrestler tweeted out that they are no longer with the WWE, which it was a weird trend across everyone's tweets. That they are no longer with WWE. Obviously, WWE hasn't formally announced anyone being let go because they don't do that anymore. But we have a full list of WWE releases. This is from all the way from the main roster all the way down to...
That's insane to me. You know that?
What's that?
That they just don't announce them anymore. So it's like, imagine like if you're a general fan and you're like, oh, where'd
Matt Riddle go? Where did he go?
I almost said where'd Top Dollar go, but no one's asking.
Well, like I said, everyone from the main roster to people that haven't debuted on even NXT. I got a list here. I want to just quickly give our thoughts about the big boys, and then we'll talk about some of these smaller people. We won't talk about the smaller people, but we'll talk a little bit.
I have no thoughts about the 7 like NXT.
You don't got any thoughts about Daniel MacArthur or Alexis Gray or Brooklyn Barlow?
Brooklyn Barlow would have been a great wrestling name.
Yes. So I think the bigger names that we can talk about is Dolph Ziggler. Was reported as no longer being with WWE. Let's just do main roster. Let's lump up with the main roster. So we got Dolph Ziggler, Elias, Shelton Benjamin, Top Dollar, Emma, Riddick Moss, Aaliyah, Rick Boogs, and
Matt Riddle,
Mansoor, Mace, Shanky, and Matt Riddle, who was announced a day later, I believe.
And Dana Brooke, who I know is in NXT, but
that's how I said main roster. She's in NXT. I'm not touching.
I'm just gonna lug her in there.
Well, don't, because I didn't say Mustafa Ali, did I? So main roster people.
Mustafa Ali was the first one. You probably should say Mustafa Ali.
I said I was doing main roster people first. Anyways,
well, I don't have any thoughts about NXT's other people besides.
You got any thoughts about Quincy Elliott?
No.
What about Yulisa Leone or Dabba-Kato?
We're just naming people that I don't want to talk about.
Ikemen Jiro, maybe? The Jacket Time?
Couldn't believe he was still signed.
Yeah, me neither. Did you see his last match? It was against a guy whose gimmick is a vest. So it was Jacket Time versus Vest Man. And then the vest guy beat him up, took off his jacket, and stomped on it. And then that was Ikemen Jiro's last match.
That's pro wrestling, baby.
That's how you go out on top. Or maybe not on top. Well, then I guess we'll just open the freaking doors and just talk about anybody we want. So yeah, give me some thoughts on some people.
Dolph Ziggler, I think, is the big one to me, even after the Matt Riddle cut, because he was there. He was there for what, 15 years?
Something like that. I'll look it up real quick.
An insane amount of years that I don't know if we fully talk about. In terms of like Ziggler. And I was looking through something because Ziggler, I think he got so much praise from people that maybe no one was expecting for him to get praise from. Mm-hmm. The Rock showed him out, Ric Flair showed him out, like, titans of this industry were shouting out Dolph Ziggler after he got released. And the thing with Dolph is, while his act got very, very, very tired over the past 5-6 years, right?
And super overexposed as well.
He's a guy who made a name for himself just by being really good. And when I say that is, Vince McMahon obviously wasn't a believer in Dolph Ziggler in anything other than a mid-card talent. Mm-hmm. Yet, he continuously had big moments in that company year after year, and many times he somehow got back to the top of the card because that's how talented he was. I remember when SmackDown first split, when they redid the brand split, he was the WWE title challenger at SummerSlam.
Yep.
Against Moxley. Fast forward a year or two later, he's with Drew McIntyre, and him and Seth are pretty much the main event act with the Intercontinental Championship. They main evented a pay-per-view for that title. I think Dolph did that multiple times, actually.
Yeah.
Which is an accomplishment, again, because he was a good wrestler. But at the end of the day here, we talked about potential releases either last week or the year, week before or something. I think it was last week because TKO became official.
Yep.
I said he's the type of guy that could get cut because he has a big money contract and is not used. And that unfortunately did happen to him. He's someone that I think if he left 6 years ago, 7 years ago, he would be at the top of All Elite Wrestling. Like, he would be one of the main guys there, because I think he was so popular for a very long time in WWE that had he left and made a name for himself in Ring of Honor or New Japan, he would have been able to do a lot and been a part of that AEW signing at the time when they really ramped up. He would have been one of the key players, I think.
So he was in WWE for nearly 20 years, 18 years in fact. If you count OVW,
15 main roster,
something like that. He was on WWE main roster like in 2005. He was in OVW starting in 2004.
That's crazy.
Looking at the idea of if Dolph Ziggler went to AEW when it started, what was he doing in 2019? Well, he didn't do much.
I had him leave before that, to be fair. I was saying 6 or 7 years ago, so before AEW opened.
I mean, well, even then, in the summer of 2019, he was feuding with Kofi Kingston over the WWE title, being a part of Super Showdown and Stomping Grounds in a steel cage match for that title. So, and then facing Roman Reigns on SmackDown, he had a winning record. He lost to Roman, but beat Finn Balor, beat Ali, then went to Raw. And then I believe at that point started the Dirty Dogs and was in the tag team division. So he was still around. He was still a thing. It would have been a good time for him to leave potentially, but even then, I think he would have done fairly well for himself.
He had incredible longevity, even if, again, he became a tire act, because some of the best moments I had as a WWE fan, obviously his cash-in, still maybe the greatest cash-in ever in terms of like a moment. I just remember that Raw After Crowd when Sting debuted and he was able to outlast all those guys. He had some great matches. I'm pretty sure he gave Miz like the match of his life, if I'm not mistaken, for the Intercontinental title, probably. He's had some stupid moments too, probably not his fault. But overall, I think it's he's a guy who is either we're not gonna see again wrestling, or he's gonna go to AEW. I don't think there's any in between, because I don't think he probably cares enough about it anymore. If that makes sense. Because he's just been the guy on Twitter that just happily just makes comments and stuff like that, and he hasn't in at AEW.
He's been on BTE like 3 or 4 times already. I don't think he cares.
And I think a great point that I heard this week. You think the Young Bucks want to do them versus the Nemeths? I
don't know. Why not? At least given the Matt Cardona deal, have him do a five picture deal thing. Why not? I
think bringing in Ziggler is very harmless. I think he's a fine person to bring in.
I think at the very least, do FTR versus the Nemeths.
Yeah.
God, terrible. Nemeths? That's awful. I can't do that.
I need him to go by something else. I can't have him go by Nick Nemeth.
Well, if you have Ryan Nemeth, you have to also call him Nick Nemeth. There's no way you can't.
You don't have to do anything. Solo Sikoa and Jey Uso exist in the wrestling world, and they're brothers. Okay?
Yeah, but that's also WWE. Like AEW, do they have brothers that aren't the same last name or anything? No. I don't think so.
Well, the Jacksons, I guess, don't. And then the Hardys, which these are all proven names before they got to AEW.
The Guns? The Guns?
There you go. Those are a good one. Yeah, so they would just be the Nemeth, I guess.
The Nemeth boys.
Call them the Dirty Blondes or something. I don't care.
That would work. The Dirty Blondes, that would work.
Don't they have I think they have a nickname.
Yeah, maybe. I think at the very least you can call him. What's the stable that Ryan Nemeth was doing? I don't remember. God, what was the stable that they did? Ryan Nemeth and
yeah. The I can't remember, but I know exactly what you mean.
God, it's annoying me that I don't know. But yeah, no, I think that's certainly a loss. I agree with you that if he is either leaving,
it's not a loss for WWE because they weren't using him anymore.
Wingmen, that's what it was.
You
bring back
if
the
he
wingmen.
led the Wingmen, that'd actually be very entertaining.
Yes. I think you could do that. I think you'd easily have him around. I don't necessarily think you could. I think you're totally right. I think he could just go off in the sunset, do some comedy shows, and that's pretty much it. But I think he would be a good asset to have. He's still a good hand, and I think he could teach a lot to younger people if he's interested in that. The whole thing is the question of whether or not he's interested in that. Mustafa Ali is another guy. I think that's a good hand. He's up there in age. He's older than people think. Like he's pretty much, I think he's at like 36 years old. But that's still, you can get a couple years out of him still. And he would be a great addition for AEW's roster, like immediately. I think Shelton Benjamin is someone I would pick up if I was AEW and put him in like
Nah. I have him going to Noah. He's returning to
Noah, baby, going back to Japan.
He's going back to Japan. He's gonna have. I want him to have one more great run.
One more great run, have him.
Because listen, if he goes to AEW, I don't know where I get another great run for him because they just have so many people. In like Japan, I don't know. I think they would just look at him and be like, "Yeah, we can run with this."
Look, I agree. Somebody's got to beat Jake Lee, And
they call themselves the Hunks, by the way.
There we go.
The Nemeth.
If somebody is going to have to beat Jake Lee, and why not former WWE
no
wrestler?
Stopping me, nah.
That's what I'm talking about. Anyone else you would think in AEW? Emma has connections, I guess, with their.
They admittedly shouldn't. They should admittedly maybe bring in one person.
It's Riddick Moss,
Mustafa Ali has the best possible person on his side, though.
Yeah. Oh,
and 100%. That is Bryan Danielson.
100%. 100%.
Bryan Danielson could tell Tony Khan, hey, and Tony Khan will have a contract written up before he can even finish his sentence.
Let's not talk AEW. Impact, MLW. I don't think anyone.
Impact should try to sign every person we just named.
Who is it?
Like the main.
So you're thinking Elias. You're thinking Top Dollar. You're thinking Emma and Riddick Moss.
You know who screams Impact to me?
Who's that?
Riddick Moss.
I'll add Emma, just as a former.
Well, yeah, sure. You can toss her in there.
Yeah.
But I mean, like in the Steve Cutler aspect.
I was thinking the exact same thing. You throw him in with like Steve Macklin, Riddick Moss, helmed by Emma or whatever. That's a good team. That's a real good team.
Yeah. I think Moss already, like within him leaving WWE, had like more interest from me than when he was in WWE.
His tweets post firing were the most charisma I've ever seen from that man.
Yeah.
And his nickname at one point in time was Madcap. You know what I mean? Like that's insane. This guy is funny. This guy has charisma, and it never
Paul
showed.
Heyman loved him.
Never showed.
Paul Heyman was a big Riddick Moss guy, which I think sometimes that says something. But if I'm Impact, I'm looking at Riddick Moss.
I'm looking at Mansoor and Mace. I think that's
they're too entertaining not to have. I thought anytime I saw Maximum Male Models like video, I was like, this is so stupid, but this is so funny. Mm-hmm. And I was like, they're actually like Mansoor was good.
Yeah. I would honestly I would, if I was Impact, I would take a look at Mansoor and Mace. I think you can make an argument for like AEW to take a look at them as well. They're very creative. Mansoor can still very much go. And look what how good like Angelo Parker and Matt Menard have been in AEW.
That's true.
Like,
that's true.
You wouldn't think that they would be so great in AEW, and then you bring them in, they're these creative powerhouses seemingly. And just great promos and funniness. I think it's like, entitled in with like the video game stuff as well. I think that's I would take a look at it if I was AEW. I would take a look at Mansoor and Mace for sure.
They have worse people signed.
That might be true.
Might.
Elias, I would bring in Elias. I don't know. I don't think Elias is.
Elias fits Impact, but I don't know. I could see Elias just never wrestle again.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm worried about him. Rick Boogs, I would 100% bring the Impact and have him team up with Johnny Swinger.
You know what's the most important thing for anyone that goes to Impact?
What's that?
Don't be formally known as.
Correct.
This was a great point that when I was on the show the other day that they were talking about, because Mike covers Impact and he always makes this great point of how he hates like the people that just go in there and are the same person. Like Steve Macklin became a different person.
Yes, you can either
No Way Jose and Dirty Dango did it.
I was about to say you can either be Steve Macklin or you could be the inspiration.
Exactly. Go be someone different on these indie, whether it's the indies, whether it's Impact, whether it's AEW, whether it's Ring of Honor, like go be someone different. The only person that can get away with being the same is Dolph.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean,
and even so, he's going to change it up though, because I mean, he hasn't done anything anyways. So, it's like,
and I'll be honest, is like I think Mustafa Ali is a good lock to bring in for AEW if he wants that same money. But I could also easily see Mustafa Ali going to like an Impact or something so that he can like more so work the indies. Because I can see that guy. Yeah. Obviously, this guy has a lot of ties to the Chicago indie scene. But like, him versus Speedball, he can work New Japan still. He can work a shit ton of indies and a bunch of people that he basically trains with already and trains. That would be a big move for Impact.
Let me ask you this: how quick, if Mustafa signs, do we get him versus Buddy Matthews on Collision?
Oh, I would do that almost immediately.
Immediately, like would that be how you introduce Ali? Just like Tony Khan just tweets it out, just be like, this Saturday on Collision. Yeah, I think that's very possible too.
I would do, and that's, I guess, somehow you have to tie it into House of Black. So I don't necessarily know how you do that. But
nah, it's fine.
He has to team up with somebody, maybe.
Maybe.
But
make a save or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that could easily work. Any other names off this list that you think are interesting? Like I said, I think Rick Boogs and Johnny Swinger and Impact would be hilariously fun.
We have to talk about Matt Riddle.
Oh yeah. Well, before we talk about Matt Riddle, I just want to talk about: is there anything happening with Top Dollar, Aaliyah, Shanky, Dana Brooke? Maybe Impact signing? Maybe.
I can see it.
Like maybe she's been in the industry for 10 years. She's a vet. Yulissa Leone, bring her back to CMLL. That's fine. Ikemen Jiro. Ikemen Jiro will probably just go back to All Japan.
He'll go back to Japan, I'm sure.
And then Matt Riddle. He's an interesting one. He was announced separately from everybody else. He could have been the same day and just announced the day later. Who the heck knows? But he is a guy that is obviously probably, other than Dolph Ziggler. Well, I mean, Dolph Ziggler has the bigger pedigree, I guess. But in terms of like the biggest star off this list, you could argue Matt Riddle is that. He is probably also a very controversial figure, which seemingly there has been that rumor that he's
allegedly a bad human being.
Allegedly a bad human being, and also has this current legal issue with with that airport. I forget what city it was, but with that airport, with whatever happened there. And then, by the way, also it's like that was also a rumor about a lot of these people were either asking for their releases or had like weird backstage issues. Quincy Elliott obviously is a guy that had a lot of backstage issues. Rick Boogs said today he's like, I got fired because of a backstage power play. Whatever the hell that means.
All right, Boogs.
So, yeah. So it's like you have a lot of different people who seemingly got let go because of a lot of other issues. And Matt Riddle is a guy that has number of issues. But the other aspect of it is that Matt Riddle has a number of issues, and he's just very insane guy. I forget who it was. It might have been like David Bixenspan wrote that like, where does Matt Riddle go?
Oh, he hates Matt Riddle.
Oh, I know. I think it was him. It might have been someone else. I apologize if I'm misquoting, but it was something along the lines of like he left the indies as like a huge star, and now he's coming back seemingly as like a guy, a hands away, like get away from me sort of guy.
You want to know what my first thought was?
What's that?
New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, I think that's possible. I think that's certainly possible. It was going to happen.
He was going there before.
They obviously tried to. They continued to use Chris Dickinson for a little bit. They tried to bring back Marty Scurll. I think it's totally possible that he goes to New Japan. And if that's the case, they're going to try to use him for New Japan Strong in America, and it's not going to work. So I don't know what they're going to do there.
I don't know like how things work, but if they can get him to Japan proper and he's just willing to go there, because the way he lives his life, based off what we know, he probably doesn't have much in his heart holding him back here. I know he has children. I understand he has children, but the way we learn things about him doesn't then I think he could be a move for New Japan, especially with certain contracts hanging over at the end of the beginning of next year.
Yep.
He could be someone they try to bring in.
They might lose a bunch of foreign stars. Why not bring in Matt Riddle?
They've already lost Jay White. Ospreay might be out the door. Who knows what else, right? Contracts come up all the time.
Mm-hmm. And a bunch of people aren't signed anything. They could probably sign up any moment.
Exactly. So, and if it's not New Japan, it's going to be Noah.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say that. If it's not,
they brought Elgin in.
Yeah, that's true. If it's not New Japan, it's 100% going to be Noah. Which, he'll be fine in Noah. There's always
or AAA.
AAA would be probable. I think I could see that happening, assuming Conan doesn't have some sort of weird beef with him.
Which, I just don't think there's many places here that will take him.
I mean, Dave Meltzer talked about the possibility of him going to AEW. Presumably, he has friends in the locker room and all this stuff, and surely he would be a big name for the company. But I don't know if you want that baggage, and AEW is not a company that necessarily picks up baggage.
I don't see that
unless you're Brian Kendrick, in which case they kind of try to shove that under the rug until they couldn't.
No, this is different baggage. This is legal baggage. This is a lot of accusation baggage. I just think Riddle's more likely to find the UK Indies. I'm sure Progress already has him locked in. I don't mean to joke about these things because what he did sucks and he's like a bad human.
Yeah.
But I think these are all very likely. I think the ones we have named, those are the most possible because Matt Riddle's not going to be out of wrestling.
No, and I don't think he's gonna be out of wrestling, and I don't think he's gonna be shunned out of wrestling like Marty Scurll, where he's still around but not doing anything.
WWE saved him from that by keeping him around.
Yes, and I think if honestly enough, whether or not he would have been fired because of this, who knows? But I also think that if this airport thing didn't happen, this legal issue with the airport didn't happen, I think he would pop up faster than otherwise, if that makes sense. Yeah. People can forego whatever happened years ago or whatever with that, even though he's still a terrible person, I think. But I think this current legal issue is a last minute tampering of his image right before he goes out the door. So if that makes sense, that's a very nuanced thing. I don't mean to say that we should excuse these things or whatever happened. I mean, even there, he was allegedly groped, so allegedly he's a victim there. So there's that. It's
there's
weird.
A lot going on here.
It's weird to say, believe all victims when at the same time this guy's an unreliable narrator. So I don't really know how to think about him, but he's gonna pop up somewhere. It's just a matter of time, honestly. I don't know. I do also think that an interesting fact with all of this is that I don't know about any of the NXT people, because we know typically NXT people are 30 days, unless they have main roster contracts, which I assume Dana Brooke, Mustafa Ali, they all probably have, right? But if I'm not mistaken, the 90 days after the 21st of September was, I don't have the exact date in front of me, but it was a Wednesday. It is a Wednesday, December 20th. The Wednesday, December 20th. So, hey, if winter was coming, winter was potentially coming, maybe it's coming December 20th, and maybe someone's going to be in AEW to show the world or something, or maybe
I think Ziggler's the only one you'd roll out there on TV.
Well, you could do, Ray Phoenix versus Mustafa Ali.
You think Ray Phoenix is going to still have the title by then?
I guess that's a fair point.
I hope he does. I love Ray Phoenix.
I agree.
I don't think he's supposed to have.
We'll talk about that for sure. But yeah, it is.
We're done with WWE. This is the second week in a row they've taken an hour of my time.
It's not necessarily about the shows or anything. It's about people being cut. It's about all this stuff.
About their company. It's about their company and their ways. Mm-hmm. Every single time. We don't talk this long about a WWE show, but they make sure they make news that we have to talk about.
I find the politics and financials of WWE way more exciting than the shows of WWE. And if you disagree with that, that's completely fair for you, but that is how I feel, and that is.
I'll say this about the cuts before we move on.
Mm-hmm.
All these cuts were of people they don't use.
Yes.
Outside of Riddle, but Riddle just was.
And weirdly
strike
outside
three,
of,
you're out.
Weirdly out of outside Mustafa Ali. I guess.
Yeah, Mustafa Ali is set for a pay-per-view match.
Yeah, this
weekend.
I think the only person on this list that was actively being used. So
yeah. I mean, Dana Brooke could have. I wouldn't know the difference.
Didn't Nick Hausman put out like a report saying that like there was a Mustafa Ali promo that pissed off a bunch of people?
Yeah. So
maybe that was it. I don't know. But
Mustafa Ali also just wanted out.
That's true. We've known that for
aren't
years.
The grizzled young veterans done too?
Supposedly, according to Dave Meltzer, they're done. So they're free. It's in theory they're free now, right? Because it seemingly the contracts are up.
They're gonna answer the open challenge of FTR, aren't they? Eventually,
I would think so.
Feels like that's where we're going. Oh, unless they just lose to Aussie Open next weekend. That's also possible.
Look, man, I can't wait for that. Them and AEW would be a great signing. Put them in Rev Pro as well. That would just do.
Did I just lay up WrestleDream preview for you? Is that what I just did here? Did I just lay that up for you?
Well, I was going to do Grand Slam review first and then WrestleDream.
All right, I laid up AEW to you.
I'll take
that credit.
So AEW Dynamite and Rampage, of course, were 2 nights of Grand Slam action, not Collision. Sorry, bud. But Grand Slam, New York City, Arthur Ashe
That's
Stadium.
funny because I thought Collision was the best show of AEW this week.
Oh, wow, interesting. We're not talking about it. So
I know they didn't get a special name, nerds.
Should have gotten that special name. Then we would have talked about it. Sorry, Brian. Sorry, Starks. Hit the road. But yeah, Grand Slam, Arthur Ashe Stadium, 3rd year of doing this show. Ticket sales weren't as good previously, but the prices are more or whatever. Well, maybe not more because we started doing like BOGO deals constantly and $20 tickets. So, the company is a little cold right now, but we'll see. We've talked about it previously. But let's talk about the show itself. We'll talk about Dynamite and then Rampage going in order of the cards. First up, of course, was the Ring of Honor World Title and New Japan Strong Openweight Title match between Eddie Kingston and Claudio Castagnoli. Scotty, we'll start off with you. What did you think about this match?
I thought it was just great. The crowd behind Eddie. Eddie is so good. He's just there's only one Eddie Kingston. You can't replicate him. He isn't perfect, and that's what makes him great. Like his wrestling, it's so good, but it's like ugly, and that's like a wrestler I love. Like the way he wrestles, you just can connect with him because he is kind of the everyday man in many ways. But he cuts these incredible promos and he makes you invest, and you felt all of that in this show. Like this was a reaction of white hot AEW for this entire match for Eddie Kingston to pull off this win. He hit the power bomb that Kawada told him to hit to win the match, which was great. Like that was just such a perfect like icing on top. Like I saw that video that he had when he got to sit down with Kawada at with Starcast. Is that what they call it?
Yes.
And Kawada's like, hit the power bomb. He's like, I don't know, I'm not really good at it. He did it. Mm-hmm. I thought Claudio's been so good this year. So good this year. Maybe the most underrated year in professional wrestling this year, because he's been in all the Blackpool Combat Club matches. He's had this great match with Eddie, the great match with Pac, just some random singles on TV that have been great. He did the New Japan show, which was great. Like he is having an outstanding year, because you and me talked about last year when he first came in, like, all right, he has to shake off a little bit of his WWE isms. He's done that. He's just phenomenal now.
Yeah.
And the only thing I thought when this match ended was they need to do this at Final Battle. Like they need to do a 3rd match at Final Battle.
Yeah.
Because I want to see them do like the dog collar match is perfect.
Yep.
It really is for these two. And I think that will be their best match. I thought this was still this to me, I thought their first match was better, but this match was elevated by the hot crowd and the moment.
Yes. Completely agree. Completely agree. That moment of the crowd was pretty much unglued the entire match. I thought it was just a fantastic match. I think I liked it as much as their previous match in Ring of Honor, the first match. It was great, man. Eddie Kingston rules. Eddie Kingston rules, dude. And you're right about Claudio. I'm glad you gave roses to Claudio as well, because he, if he was in the same group as Moxley, he's kind of hidden by Moxley a little bit, but he's having such an underrated year.
And Danielson when he's around.
That's also true. He's the third guy in the group, and he's still having a great year.
They're all top 20 in my Wrestler of the Year. All three of them.
Yeah. I don't know where they are in mine, but yeah, I know they're like 2 and 3 or something for you or something like that. No, Moxley's number 1 for you.
Danielson's a little lower because he doesn't stay healthy.
I think they're actually in top 5 for both of ours. Maybe now that I think about it, it's on the tip.
They're very good, but Claudio's like right there, and that's my point. No one notices because the others are doing it. He's just so good.
But Eddie Kingston finally getting the win is huge. I'm glad I was wrong in my preview.
He's a world champion, man.
He's a world champion. Ring of Honor world champion. It's finally happened. I totally agree. The match has to happen again in this final battle. It's got to be... I don't even know, but that's the problem, is that it does feel like, shaking the hands, doing the honor and everything after the fact, it feels like the story is over between the two. I agree that they should do this match at final battle, but what do you do for this match when... seemingly there's respect now? You know what I mean? I don't know what you go from that.
You can go back to it. It'll be up to them if they want to. Because there's always a story of how to get there, because Eddie and Claudio don't love each other all of a sudden. They did have the respect, but Claudio could say you know what, I want my belt back, and go through this and that, and we'll see. If they don't do it, I'm intrigued by who he could. I mean, we're starting off pretty good with his first challenge, but I'm very excited because I just think Eddie Kingston has long deserved this. I didn't know if he'd ever become world champion. While I do wish AEW world champion was in his sights, maybe once upon a time when MJF was a full-on heel, he's not anymore, so that just kind of went out the window to me.
Yeah.
He's going to do really great with this. And we're not talking about Rampage, right?
I was planning on it.
Okay. Then I'll save it for now. I'll save my take that Ring of Honor has better champions than AEW in every respect.
Last thing I want to say about Eddie Kingston, I think if you're not going to do Claudio at Final Battle, which I don't think they do, I think there is only one other Ring of Honor person that you should put up in a world title match against Eddie Kingston, and that is by vacating the television title to challenge for the World Championship, Eddie Kingston versus Samoa Joe. I think that's the Final Battle match. And I do also think Samoa Joe should win it because I love Eddie Kingston. I'm glad he won. I do not think he should have a lengthy reign in any capacity. He should be full on Dusty. It's all about the journey for him. The destination's cool.
It's still a decently long reign. It's 3 months.
I agree. I think 3 months is perfect.
He's probably going to defend it 5 times before that.
Agreed. And I think that is totally fine. 3 months is a totally good reign. I just don't think it should be any longer.
It's a Jericho reign.
Yeah. And I think that's totally works.
Last year.
And then Samoa Joe can win it. And that's totally fine.
I want Samoa Joe to win something in AEW, but it's fine.
I know. But yeah, this match ruled. This was the match of the night for me, easily. Next match, singles match between Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. I thought this one was weird. There was a lot of big moves and a lot of big spots, but it didn't really feel like there was chemistry or something. I don't know what it was, but everything just kind of felt off to me. And maybe it was also because the crowd put their all in the first match, and so the crowd wasn't really into everything in here. But I was just there was something about this. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. It just felt weird to me.
Ryan, this is every Sammy Guevara match for me.
You're not wrong.
There's just big moves, no symmetry, nothing connects. Yeah. It's just random big move here, a botch here, then a random big move. every time I feel like it's going or working, something just falls off, and I'm like, all right, I'm out. I'm done. And this just, it didn't. It was.
I fully forgot about that botch in there too when he's doing the foot in the to Jericho on the outside.
Like the reason I don't think this is I really like this match was weird because I didn't have high hopes for it anyways. Mm-hmm. But the match after this was worse because of reasons. Mm-hmm. Because they just never felt on. Yeah. Obviously, as we know.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were off. They were very off. They had some good moments, but ultimately there was no chemistry. It was a Sammy Guevara match.
Yeah, I don't know. I would cut my losses if I was AEW. I don't.
Never gonna happen.
I know. As I say that, there's a heel turn post match, and he joins the family of Don Callis. So I don't know, man.
He's just he's a better heel than he is a babyface, or he should be, because like he's not likable to me at all. Mm-hmm. Like when he speaks, I'm like, I'm not gonna cheer for you, man.
Agreed.
But he has the moveset of a babyface, mm-hmm. So it's like, what do you do? Because like he can't flip a switch like an Ospreay does. Like he doesn't have the physical side to him. So it's like, what are you supposed to do? And if he does like try to be like that, he's just gonna be Blake Christian, who stinks. So it's like, what are you trying to do?
Did you see that GIF of Blake Christian?
Oh, I sure did. That's why I said
the guy I've seen him wrestle before. It is just like the high flying heel work just never works with Blake Christian. No. I'm trying to think high flying heel. I'm trying to think who.
It's Ospreay.
But even then, Ospreay has not dumbed down. Ospreay has limited his offense so much.
That's true.
Like almost would like. I would sign Ospreay to AEW just so that Ospreay can teach Sammy Guevara how to work as a heel and not do high flying moves. Like it feels like Sammy Guevara's formula, his match style, has gotten more refined, but he hasn't changed it at all.
He doesn't change it to the style, like the gimmick he's wrestling.
Correct.
He just keeps it.
Yes.
No matter what. And it's like, dude. It's like, dude, you can't do that.
And it works for Darby. Because his gimmick
Darby's not a heel, though.
Well, and also his gimmick is over.
Well, this is true.
MJF has, I would say, he's changed his style a little bit.
It's like when Jungle Boy went heel, like a lot of his big moves, like he's got rid of most of them. So it's like, all right, you're just the most vanilla human being of all time now.
But it at least works a little bit better because it is different.
Yeah, because he's not doing the big moves.
Yeah. So it's I'll take something over nothing, you know?
The best example I can give you in the past couple of years, like Andrade in NXT.
All right.
Maybe.
I'm looking at the AEW roster page.
He's not like full on high flyer though.
You know who was a great heel high flyer for a number of weeks? AR Fox. AR Fox. That was a great.
Yeah, I was sick for a few weeks.
Even then, Swerve, at one point you can kind of consider it. He wasn't really a high flyer, but he's, putting on weight and going heel. He's certainly changed his style significantly.
Swerve's my guy. He can do anything.
I'm just looking at the AEW roster page, and I don't see a single person that I would consider at all. Even Jack Perry changed up his style, which I think suited him well. It works better. I don't know, man.
It's just I don't know. They have a.
I'll say this: the window dressing is changing, but the foundation of the house does not change. If that makes sense.
The AEW and the scene overall has a lot of Sammy Guevaras, and that has a lot of athletic people who can do really cool moves. And that might be it.
Yeah, that might be true. That
Action Andretti, I think, is really bad. Mm-hmm. And he just does, he's very athletic.
Yeah.
And they signed him, is my point. They signed him. Mm-hmm. Blake Christian's technically under a Ring of Honor deal. He
Has he
who
shown
he
up?
was. Once upon a time he was.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he's not anymore. But like he's that level of guy. Sammy just happens to be the best of that set of people. Set of styles, I should say.
But one could argue that if Sammy was put into, cycled out or whatever and cycled someone else in, that it would be at the very least a breath of fresh air. You're seeing something different.
Yeah.
One could argue.
Yeah, if you put a better wrestler in, that would be better. Yes.
Got me there. Next match, AEW International title match. Rey Fenix defeats Jon Moxley. Obviously, the report going around is that Jon Moxley, very early on the match, like first move, dive to the outside. Jon Moxley suffered concussion. He was loopy pretty much the entire match. And then
you felt that.
You can easily see that during the match. And then they botched the finish. The referee botched the finish in a way. It seemed like the finish wasn't supposed to be Jon Moxley getting the win. Seems like he was trying to instruct the referee that was the finish. And Rick Knox didn't call it, which made the whole thing worse. And then
when referees should always count it as a shoot.
Mm-hmm. Then Rey Fenix did this same move again, which was rough to see. And then he got the formal win. So don't know what happened there. Don't know what the actual finish was supposed to be. But Rey Fenix is new champion in a very awkward, sort of scary match.
Such a shame that it had to, obviously you never want injury.
Mm-hmm.
Never wanted to be a guy like Mox it was such a scary situation from that moment on.
Yeah.
But it's such a shame because Rey Fenix getting that moment should be so great.
Yeah.
And instead it just came because of other scenarios, so that really stunk.
Seemingly, yes, yeah.
The only bright side out of this, well, the two bright sides is one, Moxley seems to be okay. That's number one.
Yep.
Obviously, he got up under his own power. Just he has a concussion. Take some time off. He'll be fine.
Yeah,
sounds like. The other is Rey Fenix is great. Rey Fenix deserves a goddamn singles title run. I'm all in.
Mm-hmm.
He can have some really cool matches. I don't know who beats him. Takeshita probably should. That would make a lot of sense. Or you could just go back to Moxley down the road. But if you want to make something out of an accident, this Rey Fenix is a good guy to do that with.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think this is AEW was either going to continue doing open challenges with Jon Moxley, or they can continue doing it with Rey Fenix. I think this is an easy thing you can keep moving along. I think you can now also slide in Claudio into this picture, sort of as a redemption for Moxley. Mm-hmm. You can do Phoenix versus Yuta. You can do Phoenix versus a bunch of guys. I think this is, in a weird way, AEW is very good at taking moments like this and making greatness out of it. Look at Adam Page versus Jon Moxley, a very similar moment, similar scary moment for these wrestlers. And I think you can take that ball and you can run with it. And I think AEW will easily do that with Rey Fenix at the helm. So yeah. AEW Women's World Title match. Saraya defeats Toni Storm.
Well, this was very entertaining. It's not to me, it's like the smoke and mirrors match. All right, I don't know what level we can get out of these two, but if we do certain things, it'll keep people entertained. I thought the past few Saraya, I'm not saying she should be world champion, but the past few Saraya outings, she's looked a lot better.
Agreed.
Which is good. And this was more of the story built on the Outcast stuff than anything else.
Yep.
It was fine.
Yeah, I got no qualms with this one. Nope. It was a perfectly fine match.
I was entertained.
Yeah. Were you entertained by the level of shoes?
I thought it was pretty funny. The Toni Storm gimmick just makes me laugh. Mm-hmm. It's so ridiculous, but she does really good at it. So yeah, I have no problem with it.
Well, then let's talk about the world title match in the main event. AEW world title match. MJF defeats Samoa Joe. I talked a big game about how Samoa Joe should win this, and I thought, you know what? I was proven wrong with MJF winning the title. You know, it was the expectation.
So
I thought it'd been great,
man.
But Samoa Joe ruled so much in this match.
I love this match because of Samoa Joe
100%.
Absolutely destroying MJF.
100%.
And MJF sells really well. Mm-hmm. So he made everything seem desperate. I was literally like on my feet thinking Samoa Joe was winning this match.
Me really too. I got to the point where I was like, when MJF started doing his comebacks, I was like, god dang it. Oh, come on. Don't kick out of that.
I messaged to you before the match happened because we didn't talk about it on the show last week. I was like, Adam Cole should throw in the towel for MJF.
Yeah.
And I thought when he got out there, I was like, throw in the. I was like, I don't see a towel. But throw in the damn towel.
I thought of the exact same thing of like, throw in the towel, do it, Adam Cole, come on.
But I do love the callback of MJF doing what he did to CM Punk last year to beat him.
Yes,
with the tape, I loved that.
Yeah,
I was like, see, like. That's the type of thing that I love about MJF's character because he's really good at doing the callbacks and stuff like that. This match was great, and it was mostly because Samoa Joe pretty much did Lesnar to Cena for the majority. And then, like, MJF had the comeback, and the crowd was red hot, too. Like, the crowd was fantastic for this match and the first match.
Yeah.
He's so over. The moment that they get, like, the main event heel they want to go against him, it's going to be a money feud. And is it going to be Ospreay?
I don't know, man. I think it could. I think you could easily stretch out, go to Rodney Strong.
I know who it should be.
Go to Adam Cole.
It should be Swerve.
Yeah, I agree with that. But now you got Ospreay coming in.
Like, I don't know how you watch Swerve and think anything besides world champion. The way he presents himself,
you could
the matches he has. He beats Hangman.
Yes.
We might be on our way at least to an MJF Swerve match at Full Gear.
I can agree with that. But I also don't think that rivalry, and we'll talk more about it, I don't think that rivalry is ending at WrestleDream. But I agree that if they're just doing a one-off and Swerve wins, then MJF is.
Or they could do it at Winter's Coming as well.
That's true. I mean, you got WrestleDream, you got as the October show, you got November, which is Full Gear, which who knows? You have which could be Roddy,
could be Adam or Roddy. Yeah. If we go back to Adam eventually.
And then December is maybe that's Winter is Coming. That becomes the pay-per-view there.
Swerve would be a good spot by then, I think, with the Hangman stuff.
There's also Final Battle for these Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles if they're still champions for them. I'm
waiting for the Kingdom to win these damn titles.
Me too. Instead we'll get the right.
They're doing great work, by the way. Like, everyone's talking about Roddy, but I'm like, it's working because of the Kingdom.
Agreed. They're like intelligent scrubs.
Yeah.
They're just smart scrubs. But MJF did a really good job here. I felt very much that he was doing like Hulk Hogan versus like Monster of the Month of Samoa Joe. You know what I mean? Like the match felt very old school. I was listening to a podcast the other day. Definitely not the same vibes per se, but a similar toned down, if anything, vibe of like I was listening to a podcast talking about like the few matches that have taken place between Hulk Hogan and Abdullah the Butcher. And I just thought of like different styles because that's definitely more brawling and whatnot. You can probably do Yokozuna was definitely not Samoa Joe. I'm trying to think of a big guy that would have brawled a crap ton of Hulk Hogan.
We do like Cena. I think Cena would be a better comp.
Sure. But I'm just thinking of like
Cena does more moves.
Well, I'm thinking of the constant beat down, drawing for heat, and then the pumping up that MJF does to get the ultimate.
That goddamn kangaroo kick is way too over, by the way.
That felt like him popping up and then basically doing the Hulk Hogan ear gimmick. That's what that felt like.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
How and they got a perfect shot because they panned out. And I was like, man, this guy, he is money. He is absolute money.
Yeah.
He's untouchable right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I also didn't think about the world title picture. If you throw in Ospreay in the new year, you also have the storyline coming to head of 2024 MJF 2024 contract season stuff. So that's interesting. What that would look like.
Yeah. I don't know if Ospreay is going to be the guy, but like they don't have a lot of heels.
No, and I think Swerve is a good pick. After Samoa Joe.
Swerve's like the only heel I could see getting that spot. He probably wouldn't beat him, but he could definitely get a world title match. Depending how quick the Hangman stuff goes.
Yeah.
Moxley's not really heel anymore. Claudio could work. Oh, timeout. Jay White should.
Agreed.
If there's someone that should beat MJF, Jay White's also an option.
You could do Jay White and Bullet Club Gold versus Adam Cole and MJF, and then that's instead of the Kingdom, you could have drop the tag titles to the Guns or something if you really wanted to.
Yeah, you could. I think the Kingdom's like locked in for those.
Agreed. Yes. I agree to that. But that's that's another option as well.
Mm-hmm. They have options. Mm-hmm. They have good options. Mm-hmm. That's the thing.
Yeah,
but MJF, agree. Keep writing that money, man.
I completely agree. Let's talk about Rampage here. Starting off, we'll go a little bit faster.
I did not watch the whole thing.
Well, yeah.
I watched 2 matches and the Callis thing.
I was going to say, let's go a little bit faster. I'm just going to read the whole card here. So we had the tag team match to open the show, which was Darby Allin and Sting defeating Christian Cage and Luchasaurus. You had a mixed 6-man tag team match of Hook, Chris Statlander, Orange Cassidy defeating Angelo Parker, Anna Jay, and Matt Menard. The Ring of Honor World Tag Team Title 4-way, number 1 contendership 4-way match. The Righteous get the win against the Best Friends, the Kingdom, and the Hardys. AEW World Trios title match. Billy Gunn and the Acclaim defeat the Dark Order. Julia Hart defeats Sky Blue. Mike Santana defeats Bronson. And then the main event being the Ring of Honor World 6-man tag team titles. The Elite defeat the Mogul Embassy to win the Ring of Honor World 6-man tag team titles.
Yeah, I watched the first match and the last match.
You didn't watch the Righteous get the win?
Dude, the Righteous should not be a pay-per-view title match.
Oh, you're hating on
the Righteous are bad.
How dare you?
The Righteous are a bad duo.
How dare you say that?
Anyone that says something about the Righteous, I want them to apologize to the many other lore things that have happened over the past couple of years. I want them to apologize to House of Black. If you booed House of Black.
They're not a lore team. The Righteous?
Malachi Black talks. They are. They're spooky. Spooky, not lore. They're not. I said the wrong word. Spooky.
Okay,
spooky.
I'll let you retract.
My bad. Most of the lore people are also spooky.
Fair.
So it just all goes in. Fair. Because like to me, the Righteous are bad. They're just not. They're not a act that should be on television.
You're hating on the.
You know I'm right.
You're not. I don't think they're the worst.
They are good for Ring of Honor television.
Oh, I can concede that much. I guess
they should not be on WrestleDream. WrestleDream is like this great looking pay-per-view that has a lot of obvious Japanese like things because of Inoki, and then it's just the Righteous.
Of course, Japanese star Vincent. You know all those Honor Rising tours.
Vincent, you know what Vincent is? He is a good person to be like a third person in a group. You know, everyone's got a role. Okay, everyone's got a role.
You tell me Stu Grayson needs to lead the Righteous, and Vincent gets a backseat.
The Righteous shouldn't have its own faction. It's ugh.
Can you just end your rant by saying, "You see what I'm saying, man"? Or whatever
they say.
I think that's what Vincent said.
I skip every promo because once I see Dutch do the tongue thing, I'm like, nope, I'm out of here.
Fair enough.
I'm like, see ya, bye.
Fair enough, I guess. Main event, Ring of Honor World 6-man tag team title match. I thought was very good. Adam Page and the Jacksons getting the win over Mogul Embassy. I thought it was very good.
Now, can I say my point?
Sure.
Ring of Honor has better champions than AEW. Ready? Let's play the game, okay? AEW.
Uh-huh.
MJF is world champion. Saraya is women's champion.
All right, sure.
To keep in order so no one forgets. AEW, on Ring of Honor side, we have Athena as women's world champion.
Great. All-time work right now.
Eddie Kingston as Ring of Honor World Champion.
Unproven as how he is as a champion, but a great wrestler.
We're just doing people here, man. We're just doing people.
I will do his one detraction against his championship run, which is he can't do indie dates, and he took away him versus Luke Jacobs from me. You know how excited for that match I was? I was gonna watch Progress. That's how excited I was for that match.
Anyways, okay, so keep that there. Just remember them. Okay, tag team champions MJF and Adam Cole for Ring of Honor.
Sure.
FTR for AEW. Good.
Yeah,
both good.
Equal.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Trios champions, the Elite, the Acclaimed with Billy Gunn.
Yeah, I mean the Elite obviously getting that win there.
Now the two mid-card titles.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll add Chris Statlander as well. They don't have a second women's title in Ring of Honor.
Take that, ROH.
Take that. Woo! Chris Statlander, great. Arguably the real world champion. Ray Phoenix.
Great.
Now Christian Cage. So that's better than it was.
Mm-hmm.
When I made this point originally, Luchasaurus had still been champion.
Yeah.
Samoa Joe and Katsuyori Shibata. Good night. Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah,
it's over.
Pretty good lineup. Pretty good.
Ring of Honor has all hits, no misses.
Agreed. Well, besides that Eddie Kingston, Luke Jacobs match getting lost, I mean, you gotta put that on the board.
That's just you being angry, man.
Dude, do you know how good that Ishii Luke Jacobs match was? And now we're gonna get Eddie Kingston? Come on.
You're not gonna get it. Anyways, let's get to Callus, right? This brings us into WrestleDream, technically.
I mean, did you have any other thoughts on anything? I don't think I had any thoughts on any of this other stuff.
I didn't watch anything else.
You don't have any thoughts on Mike Santana versus Bronson?
Mike Santana was a really solid tag team wrestler.
Yeah, the only thoughts I had on him.
Don't tell him that though.
Yeah, well, the only thoughts I was at Terminus too, man. I know how he was a single wrestler.
He'll be here all night, folks.
Oh God, I can't stop it. I think about that show all the time. I think about that finish all the time. What was I gonna say? The only thing
we got a lot to do.
The only thing I think about with Mike Santana as a singles wrestler is that like I understand like him wanting to be a singles wrestler is that he felt like he was being held back in terms of the tag team division in AEW, and I get all that, but I don't know. I feel like there's less space for him as a singles wrestler. Like I don't understand. I don't know. He's not winning any titles, I don't think, as a singles wrestler, unless he truly thinks he can do that. Unless they truly believe that he's worthy of being a title holder. Right now, I don't see it. But
you want to know why the reason him and Ortiz are feuding? Because they wouldn't be on TV otherwise.
That's true.
Unless they were a tag team.
Yeah.
Because there's no interest in either of them as singles.
I think both of their contracts, when they run up, both of them are gone. I think Ortiz will probably just, go back to Beyond Wrestling maybe and all that stuff. He's happy making the money. That's why that's the report or anything in AEW. But I think you don't have anything to do with him.
Would you not be happy making the money?
I think if I was, I would be happy making the money too. My point there is that but they got nothing to do for him. Mike Santana out here to prove something. I don't think he'll have anything to prove. I think he would do better if he left AEW and went to like an Impact or something like that, a smaller pond, kind of like what Frankie Kazarian did, where it was like, I just don't see where the road is for this guy. I think going to a smaller pond gives him a way better chance at success.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
Well, I think Ortiz he got screwed in all of this.
Agreed. I don't blame Mike Santana for wanting to be a singles wrestler and having that drive and everything, but that's not a bad thing to have. But it is just like, I don't honestly see. I do not see what the.
He's not going to be a world champion.
Is he beating Ray Phoenix for the international title? I really don't think so.
I really hope not.
So I don't see what the path is for him. AEW WrestleDream pay-per-view for AEW happening next Sunday. Can you believe it?
These are coming around a lot.
These are coming around.
We've had 4 in like 4 months.
Mm-hmm. And we got another one In Seattle, Washington, at the Climate Pledge Arena for AEW. This is in honor of Antonio Inoki. Tony Khan has stated that WrestleDream is the end of a chapter and the start of a new era for AEW. We'll fully see what that looks like potentially at this show and following. Let us go through it. AEW World Tag Team Title #1 contendership. It's a 4-way match. We got Hook and Orange Cassidy versus the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers and versus the Guns in a 4-way match to be the #1 contenders. I think this match should be good. I think it's going to be nonstop action. I think the Young Bucks obviously are going to do nonstop action. Lucha Brothers are going to do nonstop action. Hook and Orange Cassidy is going to cause the action to slow down significantly, and then he'll speed it back up. And I think the Guns, whether or not you like the Guns, I think they've certainly gotten better. I think, being in a 4-way, they will only shine bright because I think they'll be any things against them will be extremely well hidden, and they'll go out there and, just do nonsense the entire time. So I think that will work for them.
For all the multi-man style matches that AEW does poorly, Battle Royals, ladder matches, for example, they do the big tags really well.
Yes.
Like the big tag style matches, and they have the Young Bucks and Lucha Bros in here. It's guaranteed to be good. It's like whoever else is in there is just like gonna benefit from that. And I think it should be a really fun match that they just happen to add to the card.
I completely agree. And I think Hook will learn a lot in this match, for damn sure.
I'll be intrigued by Hook in this match.
Agreed. Do you have any thoughts on who you can win this match? I mean, there's the Young Bucks.
Feels like a way to get the Young Bucks one more shot.
I think that's probable, but I can also see them because of the Ring of Honor 6-man champions not getting the win here.
I mean, come on. Ring of Honor titles don't matter.
I know, but you know what I mean.
Samoa Joe just challenged for the world title with a television title around it. He's lost like 2-3 big matches in a row with that title, and they're like, he's the longest reigning champion of all. No one cares.
I think, quite honestly, I'm looking at Hook and Orange Cassidy to pick up the win and then challenge FTR.
Ooh, that could be a TV challenge for sure.
And that's a collision show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see that. I think the Lucha Bros are like the only team I don't see winning.
Yeah, I can agree.
Mostly because I don't want to do the FTR Lucha Bros thing again.
I can agree with that. And
though they may want redemption.
The Guns, I could see that too, but I feel like based off of the last episode of Collision, we're not heading towards a FTR Guns. We're heading towards a Bullet Club Gold versus the newly reformed LFI, which
that's real professional wrestling, folks.
I want Roosh back so badly.
They can only tease us so much.
I mean, I can live and die on Preston Vance, but I'll take it. I guess.
2 really good people: Preston Vance and Drilistico.
Drilistico is easily number 30. Easily.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. AEW TBS title match: Chris Statlander versus Julia Hart.
Chris wins. Come on, though. We're not ending the Chris run that everyone's praising right now. Please don't do that.
Look, I'll join on the chorus. You really wanted a Julia match here, so we got it. You
got a Julia match. I think Julia. Do
you think Meme Lord Tony Khan did that on purpose?
I hope so. Here's the thing I'll say about Julia Hart.
Mm-hmm.
She has a presence to her, and if she just keeps getting these reps, she's going to be the star that they want her to be. She's like 22, maybe. Yeah.
She's still 21. Extremely young in her career.
Yeah, and she's got the hard part down.
21 years old, has been wrestling since 2019.
Listen, they all can't be Suzuki, okay, man? Like, she's got the charisma part down. That's the hardest part to learn.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to keep getting better and better. She does some good things in there. I think she'll be fine. I like Brody King being her manager.
Agreed.
That was really good on a Collision.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of like just a different thing because he's very intimidating, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chris should win. But
easily.
I actually like Julia Hart in this spot.
I agree. I think this is a solid spot for her to pop up in.
And Chris is doing so well.
Mm-hmm.
Probably Julia Hart's best match.
Yeah. Chris Statlander got great stuff out of like a bunch of people already. And it's a good spot for Julia Hart to like learn a bunch. And I think that's be useful for her. Do you maybe Fightful Zone, Scotty Edwards, had any thoughts about?
Nope, none.
Maybe
Zero.
If there's only one women's match of the card, maybe someone was potentially gonna show up. Dude, we need the clicks. We need the traffic. You gotta give me. You gotta give the folks something.
I have nothing.
You gave it to fucking JD.
It was just a thought out loud. It was just me putting one and one together, and someone thought that. I do think she should beat Chris though when she shows up.
I mean, Chris is on tear, so I don't know necessarily.
Like build her up, then she should be Chris.
Okay, I can see that.
You got to let the people know who she is first, you know.
If it's not, if potentially Mariah May were to show up on the show, do you think it could be here, or do you think instead maybe there's another New Japan Stardom adjacent wrestler free agent?
That's not Mercedes.
Okay,
Mercedes is being safe for Saraya.
Yeah, that makes more sense. All right. Well then.
Of course it does. I said it.
I feel like, by the way, also, if Mariah May is coming to this company, I feel like they're going to pair her up with somebody, and I don't really know who. You know, just because it's like how many people know Mariah May, realistically speaking, in the AEW audience. So I feel like they're going to pair her up with somebody, and I feel like the only people they can make sense of is like Anna Jay and like Taya Valkyrie.
Please don't do that.
I agree. But like that sort of like similar idea of a gimmick kind of thing. That's the only thing I can think of, and I don't necessarily like that.
Do that.
Well, I mean, who else would you pair with?
No one. She has the charisma to handle herself.
What if she's not coming to AEW at all? And she's just going to wrestle Athena in Ring of Honor.
That'd be pretty sick.
build her up, final battle.
That'd be awesome if like Athena could be on AEW television. That'd be crazy. Wouldn't it be pretty cool? Wouldn't that be awesome?
Is that a scoop? Is that a scoop from Scotty Edwards?
No, that's me being upset that we don't have the best women's wrestler on the roster on the main shows.
Giving out scoops on different shows.
She should. You're
cheating on me, Scotty. You're cheating on our audience.
We have to get to the destruction in Kobe. We gotta give the ridiculousness that is the 5-star scenarios. We gotta cook here.
All right, Chris Jericho and the Golden Lovers, Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi take on the Don Callis family, Konosuke Takeshita, Sammy Guevara, and Will Ospreay.
What a wild trio!
I cannot.
Faction. Wait. That is a faction. Like, they are part of the... Why is Ospreay a heel in AEW?
Don Callis?
But he's such a good babyface.
Yeah, I know.
In New Japan.
Well, that's the Don Callis family. It's all about, it's a bunch of stars that they need more heels with, so we'll just put them with... even though they can't necessarily be great heels, we'll have a great heel of Don Callis with them to prop them up and make them better heels.
You know why this match is happening? They don't trust Kota Ibushi in a singles match.
Of course not. I don't. I don't trust.
That's why this is happening.
Who's the sixth best wrestler in this match? Kota Ibushi or Sammy Guevara?
Sammy Guevara.
Are you sure?
I will take Cody on Cody.
I'll take Cody.
I would love to take Cody. I will take Kota Ibushi on his worst day over Sammy Guevara 10 times out of 10 because I think Sammy Guevara and his style just does not click for me. Because you're about to watch Ospreay do pretty much the same thing, like the same heel that can fly and stuff in like an infinitely better version. Mm-hmm. Kota, what works for Kota is he has the star power to get away with things. Mm-hmm. Sammy doesn't. Sammy doesn't get away with anything. Like Kota can just go in there and hit like a kick and we'll just play, ooh, ah, cool. Sammy doesn't have that. Sammy doesn't have that.
I'll take your word for it, Scotty, but I did watch WrestleMania weekend, and so that was Kota Ibushi's worst day. So I don't know.
That was his worst day.
I don't necessarily know if I necessarily want that, but I'll take your word for it.
Well, I think we're getting to better days each time he shows up.
That might be.
It's just like I think each one will get better. Also, this is where I toss in the news bit that if you thought we were going to get Chris Jericho versus Takeshita on AEW television, you were wrong, sir. Because Chris Jericho on a DDT Pro, their big Korakuen show yesterday, revealed that he will be facing Takeshita in November at Sumo Hall on a DDT show.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Which wrestler do you think Chris Jericho watches in the back and then tries to argue to bring him back to AEW? And why is it not Chris Brooks? No offense to Chris Brooks. I just don't think Chris Jericho's going to be like, bring in that guy.
Probably Mao.
Yeah, I was thinking Mao. Things. I was thinking Mao as well.
Yeah. I mean, everyone knows who Chris Brooks is. Chris Brooks is pretty happy in Japan, so
agreed.
He lives there. So I don't. Yeah, definitely Mao jumps out to me because Mao does things that like do wow me.
Do Mao you? Is that what you said?
Nice. Yes, and I think half of Jericho's like, oh, that was pretty cool. Let's bring him in.
I agree. I also think you'll like his energy and his chaotic, chaotic energy a little bit.
But also, obviously, a huge get for DDT. You know, we talk about how AEW took their ace, but this is a good way to pay them back a little bit. I'm sure they wanted Kenny, but you know, we don't. Kenny doesn't be given away these days.
Ring of Honor World Tag Team Title match: Better Than You, Baby, Adam Cole and MJF. I don't know why this is Better Than You, Baby. The 100% they're the brochachos versus the Righteous. Gonna be a great match because the Righteous rule. They're fantastic, so much better than the Kingdom. I can't even say that. I can't say that.
I already got 2.5 stars locked in this one.
Do you think it's
because
better
all this match is gonna be is heel heat and a MJF comeback and they win.
Yeah, better
double clothesline, they win.
This is 100% going to look exactly like the Aussie Open match that opened up All In.
I will say, you know, Adam Cole hurt himself, obviously, when he leaped. I watched that. I was like, that could be really bad.
That idiot. What are you doing?
I was like, dude, you can't make that jump in those shoes. Like, there's no support there. Thankfully, it looks like he'll be fine. They'll probably get around it. They could probably just roll him out there and like do like 2 things. You know, pretty much what they do with MJF anyways in these tag matches. They're like, hey, can you just like go do the minimum and people will love it? Thanks.
You know, you could have like Dutch or somebody like break Adam's leg or whatever during the match, and then it's just like 2-on-1 with MJF getting an ultimate win, and then you can sort of heal up Adam Cole a little bit. Then you could have Adam Cole in the hospital with Roderick Strong, and it all works out. I think that would be, and that's ripe with bits probably.
Yeah. It would have been perfect if they, I don't know, gave it to the Kingdom, so that the Kingdom could just win them here. But it's fine.
AEW TNT title match, best 2 out of 3 falls match. I'm excited for this.
I'm hyped for this.
Yeah, Christian Cage versus Darby Allin.
Christian Cage is so good.
Yeah, can you believe it?
When he came in originally, he kind of was like meh.
Yeah,
you know, like
you did not enjoy him too much.
He was just Christian Cage. Well, he was just Christian. Actually, that was the problem. He wasn't Christian Cage. Like if you see Christian Cage compared to Christian, it's very different. And ever since he's gone heel, he's been phenomenal. And his in-ring work is obviously great. And his stuff with Darby is obviously great. I loved their match that they had on Collision a month ago maybe. And that was best 2 out of 3 falls. Should be really good.
Yeah. No, it should be very. I mean, it's a Darby Allin singles match. Baby.
Yeah, Darby's out of his mind these days. Like he's a super worker right now.
He's on one, as the kids would say.
When they do him and Ospreay, it's gonna be the most terrifying match I've ever watched in my life.
Fuck, that would be so good. God, that'd be.
Darby's gonna like die.
Is Darby winning?
I hope not.
You hope not? You hope Darby doesn't win?
Well, because like they just gave him the title.
I don't know. I think Darby can get the win here.
I think he can too, but they just gave the guy the title. I think Darby probably does
win. I think the only way they are not having Darby win is if for whatever reason they do a heel turn with Nick Wayne or something. I don't know.
That's good. Yeah.
They kind of tease, kind of not. Something about him and Christian
Nick Wayne
Cage.
saving Christian.
Yeah.
Getting a new dad.
Mm-hmm. Like getting adopted.
That felt awful to say.
Yeah, that did. I agree.
But that's kind of the story they're playing. So you know what? I could say it.
AEW World Tag Team Title match: FTR versus Aussie Open with the Royal Quest around the corner. This match, reminiscent, of course, of last year's show. This, I believe, I gave 5 stars to last year.
I was gonna say, what's a letdown for you? 4.5.
4.5. I don't know. I gotta look up what it was. I mean, it's gonna be good.
I think 4.25 would be your letdown.
I mean, 4.25. 4 is my letdown. 4 is my letdown number.
Okay.
4.25 I'll accept. 4.5 I'll be cool with. 5. I never, unless it's Omega versus Ospreay. I never ask fully for 5-star matches. You know what I mean?
Nor should you.
I fully expected it for Omega.
You're better off never expecting a 5-star match.
Yeah, so I'm never asking for that. I'll accept 4.5. A disappointment would be 4. But this match, because this match should rule. These guys had fantastic chemistry last time they wrestled in Royal Quest for New Japan for the first time ever. It was a awesome match. And if they just do that again, I'll be happy.
And that was on, my phone. That was pretty much recording it with my phone. Thank you, Rev Pro. So I think Aussie Open should win.
I would love for Aussie Open to win.
But they're not going.
100% not going to win. 100%. They've only done 2 weeks of open challenges. No way. No way.
2 weeks of open challenges, and Aussie Open just lost the Ring of Honor titles in like a 5-minute match to the MJF and Adam Cole.
Plus, I think the idea of like FTR versus like Hook and Orange Cassidy, I like. I would love if Aussie Open won, and then like the Young Bucks won, or the Lucha Brothers won, or whatever. But
Aussie Open versus the Lucha Bros.
Yeah, that would be very tasty. But I think it just makes more sense to me. I think Hook and Orange Cassidy versus FTR. I think they want
to run back the Young Bucks too.
But I don't know if they're going to run back the Young Bucks yet, because if they're going to do the Young Bucks versus FTR, that's a pay-per-view match. And
buy Full Gear, I mean.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess it is. I guess
that's me. The reason I said that is because that's why I think FTR wins. Not because I think they do it now.
FTR wins, Young Buck could win, and then that's the Full Gear match is the two of them. That would make sense. The Kia Forum, that would make sense.
Was that 3 years after the first time they faced off?
I believe so. It's also in LA.
There you go.
Young Bucks territory. And they can win the titles, and then they can wrestle a bunch of people or something. Sure. That makes sense as well. Ring of Honor World Title and New Japan Strong Openweight Title match. Eddie Kingston versus Katsuya Shibata, baby.
We're just doing things.
Why not, man? Let's just do things.
We just got Shibata at our disposal. We're just going to do things.
Why not? He's practically a Ring
As
of Honor
you should.
wrestler.
He's an AEW wrestler.
Well, yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
He's not a New Japan wrestler anymore. New Japan said, we're not booking you. He said, all right, who will? Tony Khan was like, pick me. And, the rest is history.
Yeah. I love
Eddie wins, but I don't give a shit. This is gonna be awesome. I don't care who wins.
I was about to say, have we booked any title changes at all in the show yet?
No,
I don't think
sometimes. Well, if you're gonna have 12 pay-per-views a year, you're not gonna have title changes at every show.
That is true.
No, we booked Darby winning.
Oh, that is true. It is also very true. Well, I booked Darby winning.
You booked Darby winning. I did not.
Eddie Kingston should
I booked a new father for Nick.
Oh God, Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland. We kind of talked about this already.
This is my most highly anticipated match, folks.
Yeah, if Swerve Strickland gets the win, I think there's this idea of. I think Swerve's going to get the win no matter what. I think Swerve could either win and move on to MJF as a world title feud. I think that could work, especially if Roddy's doing the hospital angle. But, and even if he doesn't go for the world title, I think him getting the win and then continuing the rivalry with Adam Page, I think just makes sense too. So I think Swerve.
I swerve when I drive.
Plus, this is Seattle, Washington. AEW doesn't necessarily do hometown guys losing in their hometown
country, baby.
So, 100%.
Whose house?
Who? Huh? Sorry, what's that?
This is gonna be good.
Yeah,
this is gonna be good. Swerve should win. Very excited for this one. Big Hangman singles match. Been a while.
I agree. This should rule. Speaking of things that should rule, dream match: Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. I'm just gonna crack open a crack open.
That's your main event, by the way.
Ooh, a nice juicy wrestling match. Just put on my seatbelt and just click. All right, let's get into it, folks. Let's get into it.
You know what's the funny thing? It's like I like Zach. Like, he's good. I'm not like a big Zack Sabre Jr. guy or big detractor or anything. And sometimes when you have like big matches like this, when you put the Dream Match title on it, you're like, I don't know. But it's Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson is just unreal.
Yeah.
He is unbelievable. It's going to be phenomenal. They're going to do a bunch of technical stuff, and then they're going to get annoyed with each other, and then they're going to hit each other really hard, and I'm going to love every second of it.
And I think Zack Sabre Jr.'s had a great year so far, too.
He has had a great year. This has been maybe my favorite year of his, because he's changed his style a lot. Like, he used to just be like the technical guy, and I'd be like, okay, great. Grapple. Now he hits really hard. He hits people really, really, really hard. And you know what? For me, that's appreciated.
100%. I am excited for this match. 100% dream match. How do you preview a dream match other than these guys are so great at that just technical wrestling? There's an award named after Bryan Danielson that Zack Sabre Jr. has won for like nearly a decade. So
and then he lost it to Bryan Danielson.
So I think this is that's all you really need to know about this feud. This feud is really birthed out of being two great wrestlers fighting over an award in the Wrestling Observer.
Can we have Meltzer there to hand them the award after whoever wins? I think that would be great.
It's possible. He'll probably be there. I wouldn't be surprised. I think he's probably... Yeah. It's in Seattle. He's probably there.
It's going to be a great match. Danielson wins, obviously, because Danielson didn't even lose to Okada. So
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, that's true. That is fair. That is true. And that's WrestleDream. I'm excited for it. This show, I'm way excited for this show than I was, I think, for All In or All Out. This show should be great.
This match is for the Wrestle Geeks.
Yes.
Not geeks. Diehards. Hardcores.
Smarks.
Geeks.
Dorks.
No, I don't like Smarks. Smarks makes me feel bad.
The Ring Post Radio heads.
There we go. The post heads. Nope, that's different. That's a whole different
post wrestlers. The ring heads, the ring boys. I don't want to do ring boys.
The evil lovers. All right.
The hotties. Speaking of hotties, Destruction in Kobe. New Japan KOPW title match. Show gets the win when Yoshinobu Kanemaru came out and defected against Taichi, leading to Show getting the win, and Kanemaru officially joining, becoming a new official hottie, and just 5 guys going back to just 4 guys.
Think of all the merch that just got ruined.
The second time in a row. They did just 4 guys and they bought all that merch. Now it's just 5 guys. Now it's back to just 4 guys.
Shout out to the people that got the just 4 guys stuff already.
Yeah. Shout out to those people.
But there's someone coming back.
Yeah.
They can fill that role really easily.
Who do you think's coming back and filling that role? Matt Riddle?
Oh, jeez. I believe Joe Hendry once said, say his name, he'll appear. I believe in you, Yumura. It's going to be Yuya.
I don't necessarily want to talk about Joe Hendry if I don't have to, and I don't appreciate...
It's going to be Yuya Uemura.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And yeah, I agree. It's just, I guess... I don't know when it'll happen. I guess Wrestle Kingdom, right?
Could be Tag League.
Could be Tag League. Well, yeah, I guess he would be a heavyweight.
We don't know if he's going to be a heavyweight or junior yet.
I assume he's heavyweight. I assume he would be heavyweight.
Are you sure?
If Ren Narita is a heavyweight, then I'm.
But like, you can lie one way or the other.
Yeah, but I'm saying if Ren Narita,
Doki needs a partner.
Well, I guess that's true. They did just
Doki can't just do the Doki Choki by himself.
They did just lose a junior in Yoshinobu Kanemaru, so I guess that is fair.
I think he could start as a junior, then be a heavyweight. I don't care. As long as he's here, you know?
That's fair.
He did get fired from Impact, those jerks.
Well, it wasn't their fault.
It was. They booked the match.
Yes.
I owned you.
They should. I mean, they could have easily done Sami Callihan in hindsight. IWGP Tag Team Title match: Bishamon defeats TMDK.
Quality match.
Yeah, I didn't really have anything. I'll be clear. I don't really have anything to say about any of these matches up until the main event. I thought everything was like, yeah, it's good. Like,
pretty solid show.
Like, I saw people dunking. Obviously, people hate a House of Torture and show, and it wasn't my cup of tea either because
I just watched the end.
Heel versus heel House of Torture stuff doesn't work at all. But there was stuff happening in it, so I'll take it, I guess.
Poor Taichi.
That's
all I have to say.
Yeah, but TMDK, I thought they looked good, and Bishamon got the win, so that's fine. Singles match: Shingo Takagi defeats Great-O-Khan.
This is the Great-O-Khan I wish would just wrestle all the time instead of like whatever he becomes in the G1.
Yeah.
That's all I want. It was pretty solid, fast match.
Yeah, it was 11 minutes? Quick.
Yeah. Shingo's got to get ready to win some tag titles.
Felt longer than 11 minutes now that I think about it. I don't really know. That felt a little longer. Shingo for tag titles. That's interesting. Who's he teaming up with?
Big Suge, baby.
Ooh, yeah, that could work. Win
versus Bishamon?
Win World Tag League?
Yep.
That would make
sense.
Not me. IWGP World Heavyweight Title #1 contendership match: Tetsuya Naito defeats Jeff Cobb.
Thank God. Imagine Jeff Cobb versus Sonata in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom.
You can't have the 311th best wrestler in the world in the main event. Where does Sonata rank on that PWI list, by the way?
Naito didn't get a rank, actually.
Well,
so he's 500. He's 501.
I'm not talking about Naito. He didn't get a rank, so he doesn't deserve to be in there. That's for sure. He doesn't deserve to be the main event. He didn't get a.
You know how I walked away from this match?
What's that?
I can't wait for Naito to be world champion. I love this guy. Like, man, like when he's on the top of his game, I was more thinking of the G1 final and the G1 semi when I was watching him wrestle. I was like, he's just gonna have some bangers. Like, he's not gonna really try any other match, but that's all that matters.
So I looked up the PWI 500 list. And you know what the first article popped up for?
What? Progress
Wrestling has the full 500 just listed. Also, I didn't know this. 500? Do you know who 500 is?
Oh.
Andre Chase.
That's crazy. And Naito couldn't even make it.
Andre Chase from Chase U. How that doesn't make any sense.
I would just like to know how
that doesn't make any sense. How does Andre Chase of Chase U below like Lord Crew and Love Doug and people who are in the indie scene? That doesn't make any sense.
This list is just made up. Okay,
it doesn't make any sense.
Like picking 500 wrestlers, you're not putting them in order after a while. Okay,
that doesn't make any sense. Sonata was
the top 50 is probably in order, and then everyone else is just like,
Sonata was 11th after Cody Rhodes, before Claudio.
After Cody Rhodes.
Whoa! Sonata was a
world. Smoking mirrors.
Sonata was a world champion, and Cody lost in the main event of WrestleMania. So Cody's above
the Royal Rumble, though, baby.
I guess that's an accomplishment. I guess you're right. I believe that accomplishment is better than winning the IWGP World Heavyweight Title.
They revealed like the thing for the women's PWI.
Oh, have they?
Not the list. Not the list. They revealed the like stakes or whatever. Like the rubric. I'll call it the rubric.
Okay.
And it was like between like September like 26th, 2022 and October 1st, 2023. And I was like, okay, sure. So I listed out everything Julia had, and I was like, I know no one can beat this. So when they do, I'm just gonna be like, hey guys, you broke your rules. You can't tell me they can't be number one. Sure, he was number one last year. You can't tell me what. All right, rant time. What Julia has done in 1 year. Okay, are you ready for this?
You told me that we got so much stuff.
Yeah, it's fine. We'll get to it later. It's fine. Whatever. 5-star Grand Prix win. right? Okay, you listen to me. She won the 5-star within this period.
Potentially a second win, maybe, probably not, but
probably not. We haven't got to that. So she's won the 5-star Grand Prix. She won the World of Stardom title. She won the Strong title. She won the Artist title. She has a lot of matches. Like one of the things is like have 10 matches or whatever. The other one is like moves and stuff, and I was like, okay, so that one you just make up.
Cool moves is a rubric for these things. Cool
yeah,
moves.
It's like, all right, she does the Northern Lights bomb, sure, whatever. But my point was that I will have this ready to repost when it's not her.
Yeah, but all these things.
Rover retweeted it.
All these things
randomly. I was like, proving me right. Just everyone was proving me right.
But all these things pale in comparison when you're the mommy, the first ever women's.
She has
champion.
Like 4 matches.
They're all like sub like a minute, pretty much.
Like, I know it's gonna be Rhea, like we all do, yeah. But I just wanted to prove like a point. Okay.
Do you think? Here's a fun one. Do you think Tiffany Stratton is ranked higher or lower than Julia?
She'll be lower.
It's gotta be. There's no way.
I mean, she's there's gonna be bigger problems if you're not.
I don't know, man. I think it's certainly possible she could be higher. I agree.
Micah didn't even make the list last year. I learned.
What's that?
Micah didn't make the list out of 150.
Well, should have gotten a better year.
You can't tell me there was 150 women's wrestlers that had a better year than Micah. I'm not even a big Micah supporter. I'm out here defending. Yeah. Now it's 250. I was like, so I expect like the majority of the Stardom roster on there.
Yeah, probably all of them. Well, Saito be 200 or whatever. Shout out Saito. Main event of this show, IWGP.
All right, we were still talking about New Japan.
WGP United States, United Kingdom heavyweight title match: Will Ospreay versus Yota Tsuji. This match fucking ruled. Yota Tsuji is the. I was never more excited to get Gene blasted in my life than Yota Tsuji versus Will Ospreay. This match ruled. I went like 4.5 stars on this puppy. Yota Tsuji speared him out of his boots. And it just Will Ospreay just gave him everything. He fucking kicked out of the Storm Driver, which is I think is the first guy to do so. So that's huge. It's a great match, man. Great match. Unbelievable.
I thought this was phenomenal. One of my favorite matches of the year, quite frankly. It was unbelievable. It was the match I've been asking Yota Tsuji to have. And does it surprise me that it came against Mr. Ospreay? No, it doesn't. But my point is, this match ended.
This is my third 4+ star match for Yota Tsuji.
I think it's either second or third. But to me, the 4-star matches were never like the match of the year contender.
Sure.
And
they aren't match of the year contender. They're just great matches.
Well, because I've seen him and Shota have had great matches.
No, I understand what you're saying. It's just funny that like 4 stars is like, not match of the year for sure.
Who cares, man? With Tsuji, I've only been hard on him because I know he's great. You know, like everyone's like, oh, there's a guy. I was like, no. He needs to have the next level match. And to me, it's very clear what his role is in this new generation. He is just Naito. He is the Naito. Shota is either going to be the Okada / Tanahashi, and Ren Narita's going to be Hiroki Goto. Congratulations.
And Yu Uemura, we'll wait and see.
Yeah, I can't give like Yuya. I think we all agree has the potential to be as good as the top 2, for sure.
Yep. But
until I see him, I can't really give you a thing. It's like Shota, and they're so lucky to have Shota and Yota. How about that? Because like those two, that's your Wrestle Kingdom main event in my eyes, like 5 different times if you want it to be.
Yeah, I love Yota Tsuji, man.
Tsuji is so good. He
This was his for you, his 6th 4+ star match for you this year.
See, I believe in Yoda-Tsuji, I guess.
I believe in Yoda-Tsuji.
But I will. This is the first one I'm going to remember.
That's fair.
Actually, his match with Shota was great. Those two were great.
You give him 5 4-star matches.
His match was Shota, not Yoda. Yoda and Shota's match was great, if I remember correctly. Am I remembering correctly, Ryan?
Yes,
was it great?
So. I believe so. Yeah, he's great. He's great. He's fantastic. I could totally agree with that Naito comp, and just the idea of like he's also like super over and loses all the time, and still remains to be over.
Oh, like, that's Naito in a nutshell, baby. But when he wins,
yeah,
it'll be great. It'll be great. I hope they just keep booking him and Shota parallel for now.
I agree.
Don't give those things away. Ren Narita's just so much the bottom guy. Like it's like they're in realms above, and then it's Ren.
Yeah, and I'm afraid Yuya Uemura is gonna pass him by quickly.
Pretty confident.
Yeah,
I'm pretty confident that Yuya just was with Joe Hendry, and I'm confident that's gonna happen. And I don't believe in Joe Hendry, so that should tell you all you need to know.
Last thing he was doing was a comedy gimmick, and I think he's gonna pass Red.
The last time that happened to a future New Japan main eventer, his name was Kazuchika Okada. Pretty good success, I guess. There,
pretty good for sure.
Pretty good.
Any other thoughts on that match? I know I'm blasting us through to get to the 5-star preview.
You're Gene blasting us through, yeah. No, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. Like I leaped out of my chair when he did the reverse stomp to Ospreay. That was insane. Also, when he hit the Gene, is he called the Gene Blast or Gene Blaster? Is that what the spear's called?
I don't know.
Well, when I was listening to the Japanese commentary,
I'm a fake fan. Apparently,
that's what they yelled. So I'm guessing it is
Gene Blast.
Big pop for that. Stormbreaker was great. It was all great. Yeah.
The Gene Blaster seems we got the giant swing, Mount Tsuji, flip senton, shooting star press, Gene Blaster, Fosbury flop.
And this was the first time that. Oh, you know why this match for me was the Tsuji one that I was waiting for? Because he's had good matches. It's because it went a length.
Yeah. It proved that he can go.
All his big matches were like 15 minutes. This one 27, and it did not feel like it went 27.
Yeah, it fully proved that he can.
I love this.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was fantastic. Great match. Great match.
Ospreay's pretty good too.
Yeah, he's got enough flowers.
I don't need to talk about him.
No.
I think Dave will give him 5.
Stardom 5. Speaking of 5 stars, Stardom 5-star Grand Prix finals are happening this Saturday, if I'm not mistaken.
A lot of shit's happened this week, Ryan.
A lot of shit's happening this week.
Tommy got hurt.
Is out this week. Last weekend. Unclear whether or not Utami Hayashishita will be in this finals. I think they're waiting to see whatever's happening injury wise for her. But I mean, honestly, she could skip it. The
problem is they already lost one of their 2 final night signature matches.
Yeah,
this is the other one.
Yeah,
that's on the line here.
Yes,
and I have pitched already. That you just do Suzu and Julia, and we just move on. Everyone's happy. No one bats an eye.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about these potentials. So we got the Red Star blocks here. Do you want me to? I'll go through the little things because you have more of the. I have the info here. You have more of the how they did in the tournament and analysis here. So we have Suzu.
I do, baby. Sorry.
Suzu Suzuki needs Shuri and Natsuko Tora to lose, and she needs Tam Nakano to lose or draw. Tam Nakano needs to beat Natsupoi and Toro to lose. Shuri needs to beat Ami Sourei and Tam and Tora to lose. And then Natsuko Tora, she just needs a win or really just draw against Suzuki and she wins. So Natsuko Tora, winning you're in, even if you draw you're in. But Hazuki's a tough opponent.
Spoiler alert to the good folks listening. She's not winning or going to a draw.
Ah, damn. She's losing Hazuki.
She has a World of Stardom title match the week after this.
Yeah, that'd be weird. That would be weird.
So you can rule out Tora now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's down to and let's preface this, right? We have to remember this is Saya Kamatani's spot.
Yeah.
We're playing with house money now. We are playing with what are we gonna do? What are we gonna throw at the wall? What makes sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Utami's now out and eliminated. And
Yes.
I was of the belief, my predicted final at the beginning of this was Saya and Utami.
Yes.
They both got hurt.
That's in hindsight, a strange prediction. A final destination edge pitch.
To me, it was like if one gets hurt, the other just wins.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the most unpredictable 5-star Grand Prix final we've had in a very long time.
Yeah.
There's no story to be finished here. There's no locked-in mindset here. So here's how I am looking at it heading in.
Mm-hmm.
All right. With Tora out, it's down to Suzu, who's not wrestling as of right now.
No.
She's in the Battle Royal, whatever. Like, who cares?
Yes, Suzu gets an automatic 2 points. She doesn't need a win or anything. She just needs people to lose. That's it.
Yep. She is 6-3 now. Good record. Second straight year, by the way, that she is in the conversation on the final night. I think that's just an accolade she can take to the bank.
Mm-hmm. Downside for her, she needs 3 people to lose. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. She needs 3 people to lose. However, there is they're going to have to really work around this. Shuri is facing Ami Sarai.
Yep.
To me, when this tournament originally started, that felt like a good way to have Shuri get upset by her faction member. Ami is now facing Julia the next day at Korakuen Hall for the Strong Women's title. So it feels like a great chance to give her a big win heading into that. Make people believe, because listen, no one believes.
Mm-hmm.
No, like Julia's winning that. But still, it's a way to do that. So now you have Ami win that, because you don't have them go to a draw.
You mean have Ami beat Shuri in the finals? That's what you're saying?
What? No. On the final, yeah. On the final. Yep. They face it on the final night, yes. My bad.
Final night, I meant to say yes.
So I think that probably eliminates Shuri.
That would, yep.
To me, it's just, do you go with Suzu or do you go with Tam? Because the mindset here is, you had your final just scrambled, right?
Yeah.
What's the easiest way to get to that big year-end match that you wanted? You just have Tam win, and then she picks.
Yeah, that's an easy thing to do, because then you can still pick. Presumably,
Saya,
presumably you can pick who you were originally going to have win.
Yeah.
Presumably, if it was
either if it's Saya or Utami.
Yeah, if it was, assuming it was one of those two, you can have Tam Nakano get the win of the entire tournament. Which would that be a first?
I believe so.
Then that would be a first, another record-breaking thing for Tam Nakano to have under her belt, her world title belt. And then pick whoever the winner was, and then lose the title or whatever. Maybe not lose the title. I don't know about that, but
because to me, whoever wins this, if it's not Tam, is very likely losing to Tam, unless you pivot the challenge to the Wonder. Which is also a possibility. It'd be a weird possibility because most of the wrestlers that are in this have said they want the red belt.
Yeah.
So it just wouldn't work. But Suzu, here's my thing with Suzu. If she's going to the final, she has to win.
Yes. Well, because it also be bullshit if the person only wrestled. She's in a battle royal or whatever, but like it would be bullshit for her to didn't have to wrestle a 5-star match that night, and then she can just waltz into the main event and wrestle someone who wrestled probably 30 minutes before.
Yeah, because this happened 2 years ago when Julia got hurt. Momo went to the final automatically, and she lost to Shuri. That was a very unique situation because, at that point, everyone just believed in Shuri. It's no one's stopping her.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can put Suzu against a Micah, Mina, or Mirai, and I'll believe you that she just lost. Like, oh yeah, no, it's fine. She can lose to someone that wrestled a real full match. Like, to me, it's not the main event star that I would believe that in. So if she's going to the final, she has to win.
Yeah, I agree. I really like the idea of Tam Nakano getting the win. I think that's very interesting.
Yeah. It's the safest way.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the least exciting because it's like, oh, okay. But if you're a booker and you need to pack presumably Sumo Hall like you have the past 2 years, maybe you're not fully entrusting Micah, Mina, or Suzu. Those would be the new challengers because Mariah ain't doing it. Julia ain't doing it. Well, Julia could. Well, Julia's not going to do it because of the odds.
We'll get the B block in a minute, but yeah.
So
that's a mess.
my mental final right now is either you just toss Tam in,
yeah,
and she beats literally anyone.
Yep,
like it doesn't matter, or it's Suzu and Micah because that is a story they have made over the past couple months. Mina at one point felt like a possibility to fill in. But that really depends if they want to do a playoff or not, and I'm not sure they want someone to wrestle 3 matches.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Blue Stars block. There are 2 that are very easy. Micah and Mirai are facing each other on the final night. If they get a win, they are in. That's it. If Micah wins, she's in. If Mirai wins, she's into the final match. Mina Shirakawa. All right, so if she needs to get the win, she needs Julia to lose or draw, and then she needs Mirai and Micah to go to a draw, in which case Mina will then have to do a playoff match against Micah.
So the only workaround here to avoid the playoff match is if wins matter more, because she would have more wins than Micah.
True. What is the ruling, if there is a ruling in Stardom for that?
No idea.
Yeah, had never been done.
No. It has. I don't believe it has been done. That it's mattered. I should say. Like it's definitely like we've had that in the standings, but it hasn't been done in the past couple of years. And that's really the trickiest part for Mina, because I firmly believe she would be the one going in, but I don't know what the tiebreaker would be. Yeah. And I don't think they want to have that extra match, but they do have the spot open, obviously, on the card if they want.
Let's see. So Shirakawa has 1, 2, 3, 4. If you count the win here, she would have 5 wins, and then 1 draw should be 5, 1, and I don't know 3. And then faced Micah as her sort of draw companion there.
Micah would be 4, 2, and 3.
Yes, so Shirakawa would get a win if you count the wins there.
Yeah, because I think in New Japan, it's that rule. Like if you have more wins, count more than draws.
I don't know. I've always heard them.
They said that in their. They said Chris Charlton said that in the last in the new version of the G1.
Okay.
But that's only if they do. If they do that, Mina has a real shot. Like if that is the rule.
Now. There is the potential for a playoff, as you mentioned to me in the Slack, is that you have to also remember that they do not have a Saya Kamatani match, and then there is potential they don't have a Utami Hayashishita match. There was 2 matches potentially gone from this show. They have to have a certain length for the show, presumably. They want to have people earn their money or whatever. Unless you're putting a crap ton of money into the main event, not money, time, or more time into matches or whatever.
Yeah.
Then you could
only can go 50.
Then you could add a playoff match, and it could work. It could totally work in that sense.
Yes. And the way I look at that is you have Blue Stars block go first in the night.
Yep.
Then you can work your way there.
Then Red Stars goes, and then the playoff match, and then the final.
If one of them go to a playoff, I do think that helps them if Tam's winning, because they still had a huge night, right? Whoever it was got 2 wins, had 2 matches, just came out really strong. So say it's Micah, for example.
Yeah.
She had a huge night. She was able to, she went to a draw with the Wonder champion. She beat Mina. She got to that final. She just fell short to Tam. Like, that is a great look if you're a finalist.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what they do. But, like, to me, why go to a draw if you're just going to have Micah go in? The only reason you're going to a draw here is if Mina's going.
There's also something interesting to me about, I know they don't really have like a whole lot of connection, but like Mina versus Suzuki as the finals. This idea of like Suzuki just waltzing in, only being in a battle royal, and Mina in her third match of the night.
Yeah.
Like, talk about ultimate underdog Mina Shirakawa. You know what I mean? Against battle royal Suzu Suzuki. You know, there's something about that.
It would be a really good way to put Mina over.
Assuming she wins, yeah. That would be... And even if she loses, she's not going to lose anything in defeat because it was a third match of the night.
And to me, you'd give her a wonder match probably.
Yeah.
At the year-end event, maybe, to give her, like, a big spot. Because I think we do forget about that when we come to the GP. Like, that wonder match will be wide open for someone.
She did beat Mirai.
Yep, she beat Mirai. I would consider giving that wonder match to either Suzu, Mina, or Micah, which is very funny because they're all very much in contention to get a world title match. But I think they're all deserving of that. But yeah, it's and Julia technically has a shot.
Yes, so Julia needs a win, or I wrote down an auto win if Utami doesn't show up. But either way, she needs to get a win. She needs Mina to lose or draw. And then there's this weird scenario where if Mirai and Micah the draws, then we think that there might be like a weird three-way maybe playoff against Julia, Mirai, and Micah, because Julia beat Micah, Mirai beat Julia, and Micah...
And those two drew.
And Micah drew against Mirai, obviously, and then lost to Julia.
So it's like, how do you work that?
Yeah, that's just a schmaz that doesn't make any sense.
That's a schmaz you don't even consider.
Yeah, so that to me is like, you throw it out the window because I don't think it's going to happen at all.
Because that is a headache.
Yeah,
that I don't think anyone wants to deal with.
Like, I could totally see being like, you know, the second to last match, the semi-main event being Micah versus Mirai, winner gets in, that's it, you know. I could totally see it. Mina loses, Julia loses, or whatever, or even if she doesn't lose or whatever. I'd
be shocked if Julia has a match.
Me too.
With Utami, at least, I should say.
It doesn't, like, it's also like, if you're going to pick Micah Mirai, then don't have Utami wrestle. I know it's a star and everything, but just have her heel for the day. Like, just don't have her wrestle. But yeah, I could totally see it being like that, being the same semi-main event, Micah versus Mirai, and then going full hog on each other, just wrecking each other's shop, and then whoever wins goes into the final. I think that totally makes sense, kind of like the Shuri thing. I think that would totally work.
Simply listen to my idea.
I really like the idea of Mina wrestling 3 matches. That there's something about that feels very poetic for Mina Shirakawa. So I don't know. I think it's a win and you're in scenario, but there's something about Mina that I think is very nice.
The very interesting story. I think that's the exciting part of this final, that we just don't know. We don't know who's winning. If you had a gun to my head today,
who's your final match, and then who's the winner?
Suzu and Micah feels right.
Totally possible.
But Tam feels like the right winner.
Interesting. Not possible. Not
no,
possible.
It's not at all. Tam and Mina would be a good final.
I think I really like the poetic nature of Suzu versus Mina, but I don't think that's possible. So I'm going to say what I think would be a wild final that you could easily do is Tam versus Mirai. World versus Wonder, and then you have Tam to kind of win, which Mirai's not going to lose anything. She had a hard-fought match against Micah right before, maybe.
She gets her win back after losing the title.
She gets her win back after losing the title. Maybe there's title versus title shenanigans, all that stuff too, but this idea of like, you know, all this stuff. But then there's this thing, there's also this thing of like, if Tam's the winner, then why not challenge for the Wonder at the end of the year?
Yeah.
Especially since you just beat the Wonder champion. But maybe you have Saya Kamatani come back and meet Mirai, and then I don't know, some crazy stuff like that. But you can also have like not just Tam kind of getting the win back, but also like it is totally plausible for the world champion to beat the Wonder Champion here. And so I think that's a completely easy final that if you just wanted to do, that would be an interesting final. Both champions of both blocks win. They face each other. The world champion wins, and she picks somebody to face at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because like we don't know, you know, we really don't. It's so unpredictable at this stage, which is great. I love that because we just haven't had that. But man, it's kind of frustrating too for me.
There is champion versus champion. I think there is Suzu versus Maika, which is a story you've already done. There is, I think, Suzu versus Mina, which would be a one-night story that would be very beautiful. I think. From there, I mean, I can't really think of it. I mean, Maika. I mean, Mina Shirakawa versus Tam would also work. Maika
Mina
versus Tam, I don't really know.
Here's how the way I look at it, okay? This is my final pitch here. The only two people that aren't Tam that I could see win and make sense against Tam at that final show is Suzu and Mina. Because no offense to Maika, I just don't see them doing that. You know, like I don't see that being the match.
She would have to have like a huge performance against Mirai to really make it super believable, I think. Right. Because Suzu and Tam at least have some story. Not only that Suzu beat Tam in this tournament, but at the same time, there's also the generational struggle that they've started, which Suzu started and Tam's part of being at the head of that. I think you can really play to that. And then with Mina, it's obvious. Yeah.
Mina's very obvious. So right now, I'm going to change like 3 different times over the next week. Right now, I think Tam feels like the safe bet. But who knows? I would love a Suzu one.
Who knows? The final is probably going to be Julia versus Tora. And it's going to be something we fully did not expect. Somehow Julia gets in.
Be Shuri versus Julia. That's even less expected.
I'll take it though. I'll be happy.
I'm gonna say no. I really thought the final was going to end up being Shuri to Tommy. Because you play that if you can. But now I don't know. I just don't know. I just don't know. I mean, Shuri versus anyone works too.
Yeah, I think Suzu could work as a winner. I think Tam obviously easy work as a winner. I mean, even Mariah as a winner could work. I think
people might freak out, but yeah, it would work.
I know, but it would work. It would make sense.
It would work. Yeah, it's interesting, but we'll just deal with this, I guess.
It would make sense if Mariah got the win because it beat like Suzu Suzuki or something. Because then it's like Mariah can then challenge Tam, knowing that she already beat her. It could all work there.
Yep, but we'll see. We'll be back next week to tell you who won.
That is true. We will be back next week. We'll be talking the finals of the 5-Star Grand Prix, the stuff that we just previewed. We'll be talking Fastlane, previewing Fastlane. And of course, we'll be doing on patreon.com/countoutpod. We will be doing our WrestleDream live reactions along with the show. It is in Seattle now that I think about it, so I'm fearful that the show's going to end at like 1 or 2 in the morning. But we will get there when we get there.
Really long show, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this card, and I'm very fearful that we're going to go.
It's not even that. How many matches? No, time. I don't think it's that long.
I mean, you have to think Saber.
That is 0 hour.
Saber and Danielson getting over 30 minutes.
Oh wow, they already have a 9-match full card.
Yeah. Damn. 9-match full card, and they're probably going to add 2 in the pre-show. It's going to be long.
Yeah, let's not add any to the main card.
No. But yeah, no, we'll be back, of course, doing all that stuff next week. And, of course, the patreon.com/countoutpod for our live reactions to AEW WrestleDream. So, again, subscribe to patreon.com/countoutpod. You get a first 7-day free trial if you sign up. sign up October 1st, you get that. That would be perfect. I think that'd be perfect. You only subscribe to the low tier and you can get it there.
Yeah. He lost it.
Scotty, do your plugs. Give me a
follow me on Twitter /X at Scotty Wrestling on Twitter if you don't already. Match of the week. Who the hell knows? Yuma Aoyagi versus Ryoki Honda. Sure.
Oh, was it good? Was it good?
It was. It was very good. Very, 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 very solid. Very strong main event. And Kento's next up, so we're living. Gotta get the belt back on Kento.
Ooh.
So someone pitched to me that Kento wins and then they run him and Nakajima for the belt, and I was like, I need it.
That would work.
It would work. He gets his win back.
And they do it.
And
they do it in All Japan too.
Mm-hmm. Yuma and Ryuki, very, very good main event. I still have some wrestling to watch. I'm sure Jake Lee versus Go Shizaki was ass, but I still got to watch that. And what do I have this week? Oh, well, it's 5-star Grand Prix week, folks. So I'm going to have a lot. So just follow me and you'll see it all, because I'll have reviews. I'll have a big preview with a lot of stuff we talked about today, kind of in depth for each match and so on and so forth. So buckle up. It's going to be a fun ride.
Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You can't do it again. You can't do it
Yeah.
again. I'm going to plug. You can leave us a voicemail at 2525-RING-PR. That's 2525-RING-PR, 2525-746477, 2525-RING-PR. Leave us a voicemail. Give us a question. Give us your thoughts on any of these discussions, topics that we just had, or just general questions you might have about wrestling. That would totally be fine with us. Follow me on Twitter at Ryan Knightsey. My match of the week. I'm working on something behind the scenes over here for the Patreon, patreon.com/countoutpod. So my match of the week, if you can believe it, is from One Night Stand, ECW One Night Stand, that first show coming back after being purchased by WWE in 2005. Mike Awesome versus Masato Tanaka. Again, an all-time great rivalry where every match was great, fantastic, unbelievable. So I watched that match.
Would you say awesome?
I would say Tanaka. I would. Yeah, it was. I gave it 4 stars flat, baby. It was great. It was a great match. Just like
awesome.
Sub 10-minute match of just insanity. Just headshots with chairs, throwing people through tables, crunching up Tanaka's body. Just brutal stuff. But like sub 10 minutes of greatness.
That man still wrestles.
Mike Awesome.
No, Masato Tanaka.
I was about to say.
At a pretty high level, too.
I know. Well, I don't know if he can. I don't know if he's wrestling at this high level of stuff that happened this match. Definitely go out of your way to watch it. But if you want, I say go out of your way to watch it, because I might have something coming down the pipeline for the Patreon about that match and other matches that happen to happen maybe on that day. That is it, I believe, for us here at the podcast that is known as Ring Post Radio. Subscribe to the show wherever you get podcasts. Leave a 5-star review. We'll be back next week to talk about a bunch of stuff in the world of professional wrestling. Until then,